Hey everybody, welcome into the Auto Rhythm Fantasy Studios. I am Jamie. That's Eli. It's not Wednesday, but it's Thursday. Welcome into a nice thirsty Thursday.
Thirsty Thursday. Oh my God. Oh, I think it's our first actually I think it's our first Thursday stream we've done.
Yeah, I think so.
That cherry a little bit.
Right? Oh, what the hell?
I know.
All my sound effects don't even work. What the Oh, no sound effects this evening. Damn.
Well, Jay's been handicapped, apparently. You know,
Maybe.
I'm always handicapped. It's a thing I gotta do in life. You know what you can do if you haven't gone back and listened to any of the previous divisions that we've done. Well, what the hell's wrong with you? Go and do that. We've done the AFC East, the NFC East, and then we went over and we did the AFC North. Did the NFC North last week. So now we're gonna do the AFC South tonight. So 4 of 8 done. We're halfway. We've reached the halfway mark of our division previews. So division number 5 tonight. Go back and listen, watch, whatever your preference is. You want to watch, we're on YouTube. You want to listen, Spotify. Places too. Podbean. We got a couple graphics. So we're a bunch of different places, and of course we always like to plug the Discord, because that's like I always say, it's fantasy. It's pretty much a DM message board for fantasy guys, and kind of go out there and throw ideas out there, and Jamie's made a bunch of good connections over there, so it's a really good place, especially if you're newer to fantasy football or fantasy sports in general. Discord is great. And I'm a sucker for Spotify. What can I say? But Jay, they went up. Those bastards. They went up $1. like it's a yearly thing now. It's like, well, your Spotify premium is now $11.99 per month. It's like, what the hell? It was $9.99, and I think like a year or two ago it was $10.99. Now it's going to be $11.99 with this billing cycle. So if you can't afford Spotify, YouTube's always free. So
yeah, well, I always do the $30 card, for 3 months. $30, bam, done and over with. I don't pay monthly. I do three chunks at one time. So, yeah.
You don't mess around with those monthly payments. Jay likes to. Jay's the kind of guy that goes He goes to Costco. He goes to Sam's. He buys in bulk. He gets his quarterly subscriptions to things. So, whatever
Right.
it is. I do the month to month just for its ease of mind, I guess. But
yeah,
we got the AFC North on or AFC South on I got my directions wrong. I need to look at my compass again here.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Cat got your tongue? Yeah, a little bit. Any thoughts before we get into any of the AFC North? Anything catch your attention in fantasy or the NFL at all? College this past week?
Well, I mean, not really. Like I said, like I mentioned in like most previous episodes, I try not to follow like a lot of these trends, a lot of these other people. They are like just like these little things. Oh, Dak is in a walking boot. What are we thinking now? Is he actually gonna miss a couple of games? It's like, dude, whatever. I don't care. I mean, these little things. It's like, so what? Well, let the shit play out, and then we'll see what happens in training camp. I mean, it's it's just like little news buzz to get people's attention. Like me, right now I don't really about a lot of that stuff right now. Just all it is just buzz talk. That's all it is.
Well, I think it's a way for the bigger networks to, obviously, content, fill some time. I saw fucking Paul Pierce. I was catching some of the NBA stuff, and he was talking about Bronny James, and I'm like, the guy scored 3 points in the summer league game, and we're still talking about him. Like,
Dude,
come on. He's a joke. I'm sorry, he's a joke. He is a damn joke. It was a joke. He was drafted, and because of obviously who his dad is, but it's like there's nothing better. I mean, you can't talk about even golf. Like, you can't get into golf, can't get into who's doing good in tennis. Kind of more of the fringe major sports, NASCAR even. Like, they got to talk about Bronny James. It's like, come on now. I mean, it's just slow in the news cycle right now. But that whole story. Let me repeat myself here. There is not a chance in hell that Cooper Rush or Trey Lance sees the field. Any they're not starting the year. They're not ending the year. They're not playing in the middle of the year. It's going to be a Dak-a-thon. Okay, I mean Dak could be out there with a spot, and he'd be he'd still be lighting it up better than those two could. So yeah, that whole Dak thing's not a story. The whole brand, it's like that. Yeah, they don't have a lot to talk about. We're still waiting for a lot of these guys to report, and obviously the preseason's coming up in about a month. Maybe a little.
Well,
less.
yeah. I mean, the other quick thing too is CeeDee Lamb not showing up for training camp. We all knew this shit was going to happen, so it's just like, come on, dude. The Dallas has 3 guys that they need to sign. It's evidently one of maybe all 3 of them might not even show up. So who knows? I mean, of course, this is typical games that all these guys do for a contract. Well, let's not go to training camp. Oh my God, CeeDee Lamb is at training camp. Whoa, it's get all it's just one of those things. It's just like, who cares? These guys do it all the time.
I mean, we talked about the Cowboys a couple weeks ago. We got into that, and we've been saying it pretty much all off season with doing our streams every now and again. We've been talking about Dallas has 3 guys that need to get paid. And we see where the market where the market is for top pass rushers, top receivers, and top quarterbacks. Who are the 3 guys they got to pay? Dak, Micah Parsons, and CeeDee Lamb. 3 of the most expensive positions in the league now. So you can't pay all 3.
No, you can't.
Reminds me, like the game with the marble. Where you're like, okay, you got the 3 Dixie cups, and that's what it reminds me. I was like, okay, who's or musical chairs or something. Who's going to be the odd man out? But
pretty much
just business. I mean, he sees. I mean, he's not dumb. He was the number 1. Statistically, he was the number 1 receiver in football last year.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
and he saw what JJ got paid, and he's like, I'm just as good, if not better, than JJ. So he's like, I want at least 36 million a year, and 100 something guaranteed, 100 and whatever, 15 million guaranteed or something.
Oh yeah, I mean, Ayuka's doing the same damn thing. Oh, I'm not going to show up.
He's not as good. See that's where Ayuk is failing. Ayuk is failing. He's not an elite receiver. That's his whole thought, his whole thinking is backwards, because like, dude, I don't even think Brandon Ayuk's a top 10 receiver.
I mean he's talented, but I think he's a good number 2 guy. That's what he is. I mean, he's like a number 2, like behind T Higgins. He's like behind him.
Devontae Smith, guys like that. Yeah, that's where he fits right in.
Yeah,
he's not a high end one.
No, of course not. He's not one of those kind of guys. That's for damn sure. He's not one of them. That's for damn sure.
But I'll tell you somebody who is, because you know what, my juices they be a flowing here. Like the tribal chief says, acknowledge us, acknowledge me.
You there, sitting at home, acknowledge me.
Yep, exactly. Got. Well, it might be a little wrestling plug here. I think it's going to be Solo Sikoa and Cody for the title at SummerSlam. So I'm hearing Roman might come back. So I can't wait for that.
Oh, damn! That's going to be right. That's going to be very interesting to see what goes down there. That's going to be nuts.
That whole story, I mean, dude, like if you're not following the product, if you're a lapsed wrestling fan or just casual fan, I mean, this bloodline storyline, it keeps going on. It's kind of like the NWO, if we remember the old NWO storyline. But I mean, the bloodline, they just they're adding new members now, and they have like potentially like a civil war going on. It's getting really good. The Rock might come back again, maybe Survivor Series or something, or Royal Rumble. So it just keeps getting better and better. So. I think it's August 3rd. SummerSlam is August 3rd, so that's coming up. So if you guys have Peacock or any of the good streams out there, I know. What am I talking about? I'm getting off topic here. Let's get back to business. I was talking about high end players, and then I get distracted about wrestling, and it makes me want to drop an elbow like Randy Savage here, the Macho Man. But I'm going to get into, I'm going to get into the Houston Texans. I'm going to get into the Houston Texans because I think they're the #1 fantasy team in this division. They're one of the best offenses in the league. If you look at top to bottom, all these guys stay healthy, they hit, they'll be right up there. They should easily have a top 5 offense. And Jay's pulling up his graphic here. Got a lot of Texan stuff here. So we kind of, if you're new to our stream or show, we kind of combine our graphics into one. So I'll kind of put who I think our top 5 players are for that team, like fantasy wise. And then we'll do a couple honorable mentions. Jay will have like the rookies listed up there. He'll a couple little shout outs there. And we'll talk about guys that aren't listed. Like you might be shocked. Yeah, hello. Yeah, welcome in. Thanks for listening. Oh, Bubs is back again. Hey, bro. Yeah, man, we're getting into the Texans here.
Yeah, we are.
CJ is an MVP contender. Absolutely. I don't care if it's the 2nd year, 10th year, 50th year. CJ Stroud, as long as he stays healthy, is going to be probably a yearly MVP candidate. He'll be right up there with Mahomes, Josh Allen, those kind of guys. So it'll be better get used to CJ Stroud being up.
Let's not get it confused with Caleb Williams now. It's only CJ Stroud and Jaden Daniels.
We ain't talking about what ifs or guys that we think are gonna bust CJ Stroud. You ain't got to worry about that. This guy is the real deal. So I got my top 5 Texans there. Like we said, you might be a little shocked. Where's Joe Mixon at? Where's maybe a little further down the depth chart. Maybe you're a Robert Woods guy. I don't think Robert Woods is going to make the depth. I don't think he's going to make the 53-man roster. But if you're a Robert Woods guy, if you're a John Mechie guy, or maybe they'll get a little loving. But we're sticking to the top 5 guys here, and then Jay's got the offensive breakdown for the Texans, so he does a thorough job with statistics there. And then we use 2 different sources for just projected statistics. So I'll use Fantasy Pros as mine, and then Jay usually uses Sleeper. Sleeper is if you haven't used Sleeper before, it's a really good fantasy app for fantasy football. Got a bunch of different styles. If you're into year to year redraft leagues, you're into dynasty. I got a bunch of different formats over there. So Sleeper is a good app if you want to. And we maybe who knows, maybe we'll have a league available for you to join. So get your feet wet.
Or maybe a best ball. I might be doing another best ball.
Best ball, yeah.
I might be doing another best.
Jay's been telling me about best ball for a while, so that's something to consider as well. So I'll start off with the aforementioned CJ Stroud. Bubba's chiming in here. I'm waiting to see the Diggs meltdown because he's not getting the ball as much. He's a drama queen. He's a diva. He's cut from what we remember receivers being. 15 years ago with T.O., Ocho, guys like that. Joe Horn. We remember all those diva receivers back in the day. And Diggs is if Diggs was playing a generation ago, we wouldn't think anything of it. He just cares. It's just a lot of these guys now don't have the attitude of Diggs. And yeah, I agree. The guy had 160 targets last year in Buffalo. He ain't sniffing that with the Texans. Not with this murderer's row of receivers and skill position guys. He ain't sniffing 160.
Yeah, because if you think about it too, he had back-to-back 6,000-yard seasons, and I don't think he's I don't think when he starts this year, he's not getting 1,000 yards. That's for damn sure.
I'm calling it now. If Tank Dell and Nico Collins are fully healthy this year, Stephon Diggs will not reach 1,000 yards.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, I don't have my what.
I gotta make
there it is.
Text tonight because the damn thing decided to take a shit on us. But
no, it's there.
Okay.
What?
See?
There we go. Yep. All right. So CJ Stroud. So ADP. I should probably explain that too if you're new to the show. So that's average draft position. So he's quarterback 5 for the 2024 season, just as a consensus. And I think that's about right. With the amount of touchdowns he's going to put up, he's going to get you maybe three, in that range of rushing touchdowns, maybe a couple hundred yards rushing. He's not going to turn the ball over a bunch, going to throw for a bunch of yards. I think they have him lowballed, with his passing yards. I think CJ could sniff 5,000. I'll be honest. If maybe 47, 4,800 yards. It could be that level a year for this guy with who he's throwing to. I mean, I have Dalton Schultz listed at 5. I mean, his backup, the rookie tight end from Ohio State, he's pretty damn good too. So you might have, 2 really good tight ends, a bunch of good receivers, running backs out of the backfield that can catch. I mean, this could be, like I said about the Lions, this could turn into, one of the best offenses in recent memory we can think of. So, very easily. But yeah, CJ last year was the number 11 fantasy quarterback in PPR and standard. That's usually what I use. I just, PPR, there's other, different ways to play, but that's just my preference. Let's see, Bubba's got Moss was the same. If it was a play wasn't made for him, he didn't care. Yeah. Randy Moss was a diva. He was a selfish guy too, selfish receiver. Yeah. He was damn good. I mean, like Diggs. I mean, all these guys are. I know Diggs is going to request a trade in 1 year. I hope not. He could actually with this team. If this moron just shuts up, does his job is like the number 2, number 3 receiver, can just fall in line. Maybe get 900 yards or something, maybe 7-8 touchdowns, kind of like what they're projecting Tank Dell to do. Like I think they should switch him around. If Tank Dell stays healthy, he'll get Diggs' projected numbers. So Sleeper is actually a little more friendly towards Tank Dell than Fantasy Pros is. But Tank Dell should definitely have better, fully healthy. He should have better statistics than Stephon Diggs. I would firmly get behind that. And Sleeper is very close there.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at like snap shares and stuff like that. I know Nico Collins, he was up there, he was rather high in his snap share. And then I was looking at, because Diggs was up there too. I mean, he had quite a bit of the targets, was out in quite a few of the snaps and stuff like that and whatnot. So I think Collins stays the same, sprinkle in some, Stephon Diggs a little bit here and there, but Tank Dell, I think they'll do a little bit more with Nico and Tank Dell. And, I think this Diggs is just a complimentary guy to this offense, just to kind of, but if they get to the playoffs, because he kind of had that kind of split playoff experience already. So I just think I think he'll just kind of help these guys, like, hey, this is what we need to do. Hey, just kind of one of those guys, kind of like a more like a motivational support, I guess you can put it that way.
But I think Bubba's concern, and I think a lot of guys' concern is like, can he do that with his ego and his track record? Can he just kind of get in line? And because if he can, I mean, this could be a Super Bowl team. Absolutely, this team.
I do. I think they will.
The AFC.
Yeah, I think so.
If he could just buck up and statistically he's I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit, but that's fine because this team, to me, it's all intertwined because CJ's success will lead to Nico putting up Pro Bowl numbers again, which will lead to Tank Dell. If he's healthy, Tank Dell is going to have another stellar season, even better than last year because he's going to have a full, hopefully 15 to 17 games. Diggs, if he can just swallow his pride. It's like, dude, you could probably win a Super Bowl with this team. If you got to be the number 3 option or number 4 behind Schultz or one of the tight ends or something. I mean, it's, dude, he's put up his statistics. He's made, big catches in playoff games for the Vikings and Bills. And, he's done all of that, but it's like, dude, you don't have the chip yet. You don't have the hardware. So, just kind of, but yeah, with receiver 20, I think that's a little high for Diggs. I know people might be a little shocked by that. Like, whoa, just Diggs. Yeah. Cause I honestly think he should be kind of where Tank Dell is at, kind of in the lower 20s around receiver 30. And I think Tank Dell should be maybe not quite 20, but at least 25. I think Tank should be up a little bit and Stephon Diggs should be down. I think Nico is perfect right where he's at because he was statistically the number 12 fantasy receiver from last year. So and very similar projections. I mean, he had a little more. I think he had he had almost 1,300 yards last year and 8 touchdowns. So they have him projected, somewhere in that like
Yeah,
150,
I'm gonna
100
take a
range.
look at one of my best ball drafts here real quick, and
Yep.
I'll give you a good idea where he was drafted at here. Give me just a second. See if I can find the one I was looking for. Here we go. Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things, I guess you can put it that way. I mean, for me, I guess he's kind of more like, he'll go off in the first round or second round. I mean, in most cases. But I mean, he's still a talented guy. He's actually going. I mean, Diggs will go off the board before Nico, before Dallas. I mean, that's just the nature of what guys are doing. Just because they already know he had that 160 with the Bills, but a lot of the speculations is that Nico Collins is going to see that target share over Diggs, and then sprinkle in some Dell. But with the weapons that they got, I mean, if hopefully Diggs doesn't get all pissed off, like, hey man, I need the ball, man. Maybe he just hopefully. I mean, like you said, hopefully he could just be a team player. Shut up, go out, play the damn game, and actually maybe win a damn championship. Because I mean, this team's set up. I mean, look what they did last year. They had everybody like on and like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, and they, obviously shit the bed against the Ravens, but I mean, that was a new coach, new quarterback, kind of first time with this group of guys in the playoffs. They made it, they smacked around the Browns. So yeah, absolutely. They could take that next step very easily. It's just a lot of it, and Diggs is going to have to take a step back from the fantasy side of it. Like, he's not going to be. I know they have all three guys projected, similar targets. I don't think that's going to go down like that.
It was fifth round. Yeah, fifth round. So pretty much in that fifth round, one of these best balls, it went actually. Nico Collins actually went ahead of Diggs, and Diggs went right after that. So I mean, it's fifth round. So he's pretty much a fifth. Most people see him as a fifth round talent. Marvin Harrison's coming off the board. London, Adams, Ayukin's even coming up before him. Pittman. Kind of so that swing pass. Evans is coming off the board before him. So you can kind of get an idea. People are just kind of like, okay, Diggs is kind of like a number 2 in this offense.
I think there's a good chance he could be a number 3. Yeah, Danny D. Stroud is set up to win the MVP. Absolutely, yeah. He's definitely in my top 3, and he should be in everybody's top 3. What?
Yeah.
I mean, this kid is good. I mean, he's going to light it up. He's not going to turn the ball over. He's not going to do anything stupid with the ball. Not picks, fumbles, any of that. Any of the stuff you got to worry about with low end quarterbacks or Trevor Lawrence, who I'm going to talk about a little bit. Mediocre quarterbacks like him. You don't have to, none of that applies to CJ Stroud, and he's right where he should be, because there's a lot. I mean, obviously the guys ahead of him deserve to be there. Jalen's going to get you a ton of rushing touchdowns. Josh Allen's the all around guy. He'll get you passing yards, touchdowns, rushing yards, and some of the other guys in that AR5. We'll talk about him here in a little bit, because the Colts will probably be the next team up. Because we still don't have a full year of AR5 left. Or have seen a full year in the NFL of AR5.
Yep.
So the guys that are kind of in the vicinity of CJ in fantasy, they I don't know. I think he's right where he should be. Number 5. I think that's perfect with these weapons. That's perfect. Nico, I think he's perfect where he's at. Diggs is, I think, a little overrated. And that, just case in point, Jay was kind of reeling off some of the best ball, some of the guys being taken. I mean, even 80-year-old Mike Evans. I love me some Mike Evans. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
The general consensus is that there's guys, even guys on the come up, that are passing him. Guys that I think are overrated too. I mean, Deebo Samuel, I think he's very overrated. But I mean, people are taking him over Diggs. So I think people are kind of down on Stephon Diggs, and they should be, because I don't think he's cracking 1,000 yards.
Oh God, no. I mean, no, he's not.
He could win a Super Bowl. Jay, he could win a Super Bowl this year and have 850 yards, and that would be a damn good year. You won, you know what I mean? You won a Super Bowl, but will he accept that? Tank Dell, I think it's either where he should be or maybe a little low. I mean, Tank Dell, he's got big time potential. We might look back in this 5-10 years from now like how the hell did that guy go in the 3rd round? I mean, it just crazy.
Eventually, I think one of these guys is gonna, someone will kind of you know, these Collins
somebody's gonna be the target monster. That's what you're.
Yeah,
That's where you're.
yeah.
Somebody's
I
gonna
think
get
that
fed.
yeah, someone will be eventually. You know, I mean,
Feed me,
Collins
Steve-O,
might be
feed me.
Collins might be the guy right now, but maybe maybe in a year or two, Tank might be that guy. Who knows? Maybe Collins is like, oh, I want a bigger contract, and like, well, screw you, we got Dale, whatever. See you later. But maybe they trade him. You never know what's going to happen. Maybe they need a piece here and there or something. So I mean, sooner or later, I mean, Tank, Tank will be that guy. I mean, shit. I remember this is the crazy funny thing because preseason was going on. The wife and I, we were freaking out. We were out at freaking Mulligan's, just getting some food. Next thing you know, I'm like, I see Tank Dale, Dale touchdown. I'm like, who's this guy? So I mean, kind of splat. I'm like, dude, he looked kind of flashy. So next thing you know, I'm like, that Dell guy kind of just stuck in my head. I mean, if he actually would have stayed healthy, dude, I mean, he probably had an amazing freaking year.
I mean, he single-handedly, got our boy in Arizona. The kid who doesn't belong in the NFL, single-handedly got him drafted. I mean, that was the Houston Cougars team for a couple years. That was front to back Tank Dell. I mean, Tank Dell was the whole like what did RVD used to say? The whole effing show.
I think
was the whole effing show at Houston. So
I think Houston is actually in the Big 12 this year. So I think they're gonna get spanked.
Could you imagine what Tank Dell would have done in the Big 12 had he got a full college career in the Big 12 with some of the offenses there?
Dude, that would have been awesome, dude.
Okay, now let's get a little bit lower on the depth chart. Let's see if you have any thoughts on obviously your boy Noah Brown. You remember him from his time with Dallas.
Yeah.
I think Michi, there was rumors Michi might get traded. There's obviously Robert Woods is old as dirt. He's probably gonna get cut.
They have Xavier. Yeah, they got Xavier Hutchinson too. He played a little bit here and there, but was that McCutcheon? Yeah,
there was a guy from the preseason a couple years ago that everybody was talking up. It's like, oh, this kid's gonna be or Lance McCutcheon. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
but,
this is
Xavier
Hutchinson. Yes, an Iowa State prospect. But yeah, I think he had some talent.
Brock Purdy. He ain't Brock Purdy. He ain't pretty tall. He
had some talent. So I mean, for the 4th spot, I mean, yeah, I think Noah Brown is that guy. Woods is old as dirt. He was there for a little while. I mean, kind of helped his team out a little bit, but I don't remember his contract, but I'm sure it was only maybe a couple years thing. So I mean, Noah Brown can come in and do the same thing. Kind of, they got Diggs now. They don't need Woods. So guys like Mitchie and Hutchinson or and Brown are the guys that can be fighting for like the 4th spot.
Yeah, they'll be fighting for table scraps. I mean, we see
pretty much.
We see the target percentages for the top 3 guys as they should be. All 3 guys should be top 30 receivers in fantasy, which is insane for one offense to have 3 top 30, basically 3 guys that are good enough to start on any team.
Yeah,
I mean in the league front. I mean any team. Noah Brown's solid. I think he falls right in at number 4. He's going to be, if any of these 3 guys get hurt, Noah Brown, obviously you're going to want to get on the waivers and pick him up. Obviously in Dynasty, keep him on the bench, just keep him warm.
I think, maybe as far as like a deeper league, Noah Brown would be kind of a good guy to probably
16, maybe 16 man or definitely 20 man. If you're in a giant league, 20-man league, Noah Brown, I would definitely have on the roster. Absolutely.
Yeah, Noah Brown or Mechie, one of those 2. I think it might be Brown. He had a little bit. He was out there a little bit more than Mechie. He had a little bit. I think his receptions were a little bit more than Mechie, anyways. Even though that Mechie was drafted in the 1st round, which I think it was 1st round, and he didn't even get a chance to play. And all next thing you know, they had Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and now Mechie is pretty much nothing.
He's an afterthought.
Yeah, which is sad.
He's gone the way of the journeyman now. He's going to bounce around the league, just be like a former first, like now Nelson Aguilar. He's going to be one of those kind of guys where he just bounces around the league. Like, oh, what team is he with now? Oh, that's his 5th team in 7 years, or he's still in the league. It's sad. It's sad, because he was sick, and we remember him in Alabama, dude. He was a burner. I mean, the guy just
he was kind of like
stop him and Tua and him and Bryce Young.
Yeah, he was kind of like the Tank Dell of before they
Yeah,
actually got Tank Dell.
before they actually got Tank Dell. Yeah, exactly. Do you want to get into the Texan tight ends quick or the running backs?
Yeah, whichever. It won't matter.
All
I
right.
will find. We can get into the tight ends quick or whatever. It won't matter.
Let's
It
do
won't
tight
matter.
ends. So I got Dalton Schultz up there at number 5. Yep, and there's Schultz projections. They're similar. Obviously they're a little more kind in fantasy pros than sleeper, but it's in the same range, probably around 650 yards. 5
Yeah.
touchdowns. That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think
10% of the targets. Yeah, he's not going to be as targeted as any of those. The top 3 guys. I mean, Tank or Nico or Diggs, any of those guys, he ain't gonna be targeted that much. But Dalton Schultz has earned, every year. Last year he was the 10th ranked fantasy tight end in PPR. So every year Dalton Schultz kind of has an under the radar season. Like every year he's always between like 10 to 13 and in his statistic rankings for tight end. So he's a solid. In a 12-man league, definitely 16-man league, he should be your starter every week.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about what he did with Dallas, 615, 800, 500, and 600, so you can kind of get his averages of, what he's,
solid,
I mean,
solid.
Yeah, he's had, when he first got with Dallas, 4 touchdowns, he had 8, then 5 and 5. So, I mean, if you think about it, this guy will probably average 3 to 4, probably 3 to 5 or between 3 to 5 touchdowns a year. And I mean, that's pretty typical for, a kind of a middle tier kind of, tight end, which he is. I mean, he's not quite the top 5, but, he's kind of almost in that middle tier of tight ends that you want to snag. If you don't get one of the top guys, I mean, Schultz will be a guy you want to get over, probably go Jake Ferguson, then Schultz and so forth, but that's my thoughts on, Schultz in general. I mean, he's a guy that's they actually signed him 3 years, so he's gonna be with CJ Stroud. It's gonna be his sidekick for a while. So now, it's who knows? He might even, see 700. Who knows? But 600 is probably typical.
Hell, with this offense, I mean, he did have an 800 year with Dallas. So, I mean, he's capable of having a monster year. I mean, he could have a 700-yard, 6-7 touchdown year. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but we're thinking more, probably around, 600 to 650, 4 or 5 touchdowns. That's solid, solid numbers. Just, run, a guy in like I said, 16-man league that I would, without any hesitation, if he was my guy in a 16-man league, I'd be comfortable. If I was starting him every week, I'm like, yeah, that works. 12-man, 10-man, that starts to get a little, he should probably be your backup, but deeper league, definitely an every week starter. And then Cade Stover, the 4th round guy out of Ohio State. I liked what I saw. I mean, we saw a lot of, he's kind of teaming him up with his old quarterback, at Ohio State with CJ. So I don't know. Any thoughts on Stover? I don't know if you still have that rookie screen from the previous graphic, but maybe.
Yeah, Stover. I think I was kind of actually trying to look into him a little bit. I think he just be the tight end 2 there a little bit. Let me check my notes here real quick. I think he can actually be pretty much a good yak guy after the catch. So pretty much a check down guy. So that's why. So if Schultz can't get her done, if he gets injured, I think Stover will be a guy to come in and fill in that you will want to pick up, and it all depends on how deep your league is, and
he
might see a little bit.
Jay, he averaged most tight ends are what? Like even Evan Ingram caught 1 million balls last year, but he didn't have many yards, right? I mean, most time tight ends don't have the greatest yak or average, per catch or, but he was averaging like 14 yards, a catch last year at Ohio State. Yeah. He had 41 grabs, 576 yards, 5 touchdowns on 52 targets. So, I mean, Stover was solid. I mean, we didn't cover him, when we were doing our prospects, but he was a really good, and that's his whole career, which, probably mainly 2 years. That's not bad. That's not a bad. So that's like what, 41. Maybe he played as a freshman or something, but I mean, let's just say it's a 2-year average. So yeah, like 41 catches, 500 something yards, 5 touchdowns. Those are, college ain't going to transfer to the NFL, obviously, but if you're working with your college quarterback and you're a number 2 tight end, Dalton Schultz, he ain't no spring chicken. He's been in the league a little bit. He goes down, and I think Stover could. Brevin Jordan doesn't impress me.
Yeah, his
Stover could jump him and maybe be the starter if something happened to Schultz.
Yeah, look at just his quick game log here from last year. Just a couple. He had 5 touchdowns last year. So even the year before that, 5 touchdowns. So for him coming in rookie, probably a good average, per game, 40 to 50 yards per game, maybe with a slight touchdown in there. Pick and choose. Depends on the team and whatnot. So he could probably get a little bit in there, but as far as Stover, I probably wouldn't draft him right away. He'd be a waiver wire guy, if it's later on in the year, but it's just a name to probably just keep in the back of your mind. He'll be out there in waiver wires, tons of waiver wires for sure. But if Schultz did go down, yeah, I think he will be the second guy to actually get in that role.
Ooh. Yeah, and then Brevin Jordan, like we mentioned, he's technically number 2 on the depth chart, but I could easily see Stover jumping him. Brevin Jordan is what he is. There'll be one game a year where it's like he'll have like 65 yards and a touchdown. Like, oh, Brevin Jordan, I'm gonna go snag him up on the waivers. I'm gonna go. Don't waste your time. How many tight ends do the Colts have that have had like random 2 touchdown games? You know what I mean? They're tight ends.
Yeah, I know.
And
Granson. That would seem like they have like freaking 10 tight ends that don't do nothing.
So he's look at this. Juwan Johnson. Does anybody think Juwan Johnson's a top 15 fantasy tight end? Hell no. And he's had a bunch of 2 touchdown games. So Brevin Jordan, no. Just I'm out on him. So it's Schultz, and then maybe you get a little bit of Stover's definitely a guy you want to grab in Dynasty. Stick him away.
Yeah.
Maybe even put on the taxi squad. On your practice squad on your Dynasty team. Let him just kind of milk there a little bit. I didn't see anybody. We don't really go beyond 2 or 3 tight end. I'm not going to go with the 4th tight end. He's probably going to get cut.
No.
We're not even going to. So
yeah. Schultz is actually the 13th kind of tight end coming off the board.
Yeah.
So you can get his so he's pretty much your middle tier guy. For kind of that middle tier, tight end, yeah. He's good enough to kind of feel like just pretty much set it and forget it,
He's been more consistent than Kyle Pitts, because he's probably in the same group now as Pitts. Maybe Pitts is still viewed as a little higher, or whatever. But,
oh yeah, Pitts is actually going higher.
I'd rather have Dalton Schultz than Kyle Pitts. Absolutely.
Yeah. Pitts is actually going into 6th round compared to a Schultz that's actually going in a better offense. Once we get to the the freaking Atlanta puke.
I'm gonna start. Oh, that's next week. Oh, whoops.
Oh,
whoops.
God.
Spoiler.
But yeah, no, I just can't trust Pitts. I never have. I never liked the hype on him. I'll take Schultz, over Pitts all day long. That's just me though. I just like what the Titans got going on. Not Titans, Texans, what they got going on. I just like that everybody's gonna, kind of try to get any piece from that offense as they can. That's just me though.
Well, they used to. Well, you were close. They used to beat Houston,
right?
Kind of now they got. Look, they even got the Houston Blue, or what do they call it? H-Town Blue.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's called, but yeah, it's one of those. I just figured. It's like, well, let's put their new kind of colors in there to satisfy all the Texans fans. I'm like, how dare you be wearing those Oiler colors? I'm like, you know what? Sorry, too damn bad. Suck it.
Eat a dick.
But
so while Jay's got the running backs up, because I didn't have any listed. You can only crack the top 5 here. It's a lot of work to get into this top 5, especially in an offense like Houston. That's why we're talking about them so long, because they're that damn good. We won't talk about them. We won't talk about the Titans that long. Trust me. That's going to be. So I'm going to put up my rookie spotlight here. Jawhar Jordan from Louisville, and you can see him listed there. He's technically number 3 on the depth chart right now, but I think that could change. I think Dameon Pierce. I don't know what the hell happened to him. I thought James Robinson a couple years ago fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
he was an offensive rookie of the year, and then was having decent second year, and then third year just fell off a cliff. Got cut by every team known to man last year. Got cut by every team known to man. I think he's in the probably in the UFL now or something.
Well,
Dameon Pierce is right in that same mix. I mean, his rookie year, halfway through the year, I think he was the leading rusher in the NFL.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, he had talking about a guy like that. I mean, he's not at one time he wasn't viewed as a backup or a scrub or a guy that's just an afterthought. I mean, we thought Pierce would kind of be their at least for the next 4 or 5 years would be their feature back. He was looking that way.
Yeah, he was. Actually, honestly, that's right. It was funny because I actually made a comment over on the face-off guys over there. I made it. It was like, would you take Pierce over Mixon? Then just kind of see what they thought. You're like, well, no, Mixon would be the guy you want, but just like you were saying, Dameon Pierce, 4th round talent, almost had 1,000 yards, got injured right at the end of the year. He probably would have had 1,000 yards if he didn't get injured. So I was just like, well, dude, he looked damn. He didn't have a lot in the passing game. He had a little bit, had like 230 some odd in the receiving game. I think he had a touchdown or so, or somewhere in there. But I just thought, I'm like, well, shit, they brought in Singletary, that kind of got in the way. Maybe he, maybe he was trying to heal up from his injury. But Singletary ended up having all the carries, and then Pierce was just kind of.
Jay, he got beat out by Devin Singletary. Enough said.
That's sad.
His career ended the minute he got beat out by Devin fucking Singletary. Okay, I'm out. I'm out on this guy. Joe Mixon. So we'll start at the top. I mean, he's obviously viewed as the feature back, which he should be. I mean, he after his Bengals career, he kind of earned that. He should definitely go into at least first half of the year. He should be the feature back. It's rushing percentage 59. Yeah, I mean he should definitely be the feature guy in this attack here. I think they're a little. I think Fantasy Pros was because I have bottom ticker. You'll see Fantasy Pros' projections for Joe Mixon, and they're a little bit more than sleepers. But there's a reason why the Bengals got rid of him. I mean, the guy's going into his 8th year, get a little long in the tooth. Maybe he can be a factor catch and pass because we saw Zeke do that. Zeke almost like kind of not reinvigorated, but almost kind of salvaged his career, right? Zeke kind of became a pass catching running back instead of just being an elite 1,300 yard, Pro Bowl, all pro level guy, which Zeke is not anymore. Like, hey, I can catch 50 balls, so maybe Joe Mixon gets more in the passing game, but Jawhar Jordan, I mean, I know we talk about late bloomers. I mean, this guy came out of nowhere last year. He did a couple years, I have this little graphic up there. He's a 6th round pick, like I mentioned, out of Louisville. Spent 2 years at Syracuse, only played like a couple games each year. Even his 3rd year, or even in 2021 in Louisville, he only played like 3 or 4 games. So, I mean, he barely saw any action. In 2022, had, a little bit better for where he was. I mean, a lot better statistics, but, just kind of run of the mill, not good enough numbers to get you drafted. 815 yards, 4 touchdowns, only 85 yards receiving. The average per carry was pretty good, but just not. He was kind of an afterthought. And Grendo, the running back that the 49ers took was kind of almost the feature guy in that backfield. But just this past season in 2023, I mean, just lit up the world. I mean, just out of nowhere, over 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns. It kind of showed he could be, because that was the main. I'd say that's the main question about him. Because I mean, we knew he was a workhorse guy, but because of his age, he's going to be 25 when the season starts. So he was 24 last year in his senior year in college, 5th year guy. I think he had to prove to the pros that he could catch passes. It's like, dude, we need you. You come in the league, you got to be able to catch at least a couple hundred yards receiving. Like that's the minimum. Because we don't ever, because usually 6th round guys they don't see as being future feature guys. They're mostly seen as, okay, you can be a rotation guy. You can be what basically what Dameon Pierce has turned into. He's a rotation guy. He's no longer viewed, I think, as a feature back. He's going to be probably with the Texans a couple or CEH from the Chiefs. He's not viewed as a feature back anymore. He's just viewed as a rotation guy. Guys at one time that we thought could be feature guys, but just never lived up to the billing. But any thoughts on Jawhar Jordan?
Yeah, I that Cardinals, team, they had pretty much a 1-2 punch with Garendo and Jordan. Garendo had 11 touchdowns. Jordan had 13. Garendo. I mean, both these guys pretty much. Garendo didn't have any touchdowns.
Headed attack.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's what it was. I mean, that's why Garendo ended up being. I think Garendo was a little bit higher than Jordan. I believe he was a. Or maybe Garendo was the 7th rounder. I don't remember exactly.
I think he was no. I think he was higher. I think the 49ers took him. I think
that's what I thought too. That's what I thought. So I mean, so both these guys, they got drafted. They're both talented. Jordan a little bit more the speedster. Garendo was kind of more that heavy set kind of. He's kind of like that brute. Kind of in that kind of like Ray Davis. He's kind of that build. So I mean, kind of a bruiser if they need it. But yeah, other than that, I mean, Jordan, I think he's kind of more. I think he'll kind of get into third down situations. I mean, for his speed, he can get them a first down if need to or whatever. But I just think everybody's giving up in Pierce a little bit. I want to have a little faith. Right there. I want to have a little bit of faith that Pierce can maybe kind of generate some good year this year. Maybe have a few more touchdowns. In there. I mean, he's built. He's kind of, to me, in my thoughts, he's kind of like a Ray Davis, but not without the receiving. He's got some good explosion to him. I mean, he plays hard. He miss tackles. I mean, I just think everybody's just giving up on him way too much. Went back, take a look at some of his stuff that he was doing. I'm like, well, why in the hell did they give up on this guy? So I mean, for me, I think if Mixon wasn't there, I think they would give Pierce a little bit more of a role this year. But with everything that they got, it's going to be just a mix of everybody just doing everything. And that's the sad thing. But Mixon coming in, taking the lead role, Pierce kind of being an afterthought. He tossed in a little Jordan in here, then a guy that's could maybe make a few splash plays here and there. But it's kind of like, damn, Pierce.
Yeah. If you now. Okay, Devin Singletary is one thing because technically he's been the Giants signed him to be their starter, right? He started a couple years in Buffalo. So at least you got beat out by a starting NFL running back. You get beat out by Jawhar Jordan, the sixth round guy who, a year ago at this time had no NFL prospects at all before that senior year. You know what I mean? If you're going to get beat out by him, you might as well just call it a day. Dameon Pierce, go sign with the Birmingham Stallions. Go sign with the San Antonio Brahmas. I mean, just get out of the NFL. It's over. It's over.
Oh, excuse the rock 1 second. Excuse the rock. His cell phone's going off. Oh, yeah. Hold on. Kyle, hello. Hey, it's nothing. He says he knows you. You're nothing.
That's my thoughts. Yeah, that's my thoughts on Dameon Pierce. Jay's being a little nicer. Me, not so much. Joe Mixon, let's fantasy wise. I didn't take a lot of notes. I know he's going higher. I think he's still going probably at least top 15 running backs, probably around the 10th, 11th spot for running backs. I think that's too high. I don't think I think people are sadly mistaken if they think they're going to get the beast mode Joe Mixon from, a couple years ago with the Bengals. I don't think or even last year. I mean, he still was highly productive last year. I mean,
Mixon's kind of coming off the board between, he'll probably off the board between the 7th and 8th round. That's where Mixon is coming off the board. So, I mean, if you think about it, Mixon is pretty much being like the 10th, 11th guy coming off the board.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. Do you think that's good value? Or where are you at with that? For me, I would take guys like A-Chain, Walker. Yep. I'll even take freaking Najee Harris a round later over Mixon. I'll take Najee over. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's me. I might even, maybe slide in and maybe a little Pollard over him too, because I think he's, the Titans are going to be a little bit different story, but I think Pollard can still reproduce. I mean, it's kind of borderline, but that's just that's just my thoughts. So
we'll get into the Titan. That's maybe the only, it's one of the few good things they do have. Maybe is maybe a decent running back room, but yeah, I think that pretty much covers the Texans. Do you have any closing thoughts on the Texans at all? Like,
I mean, I guess if you wanted to mention, talk about I mean, we already kind of mentioned these guys a little bit. I mean, that's just, Stroud's numbers here quick, I mean, pretty much 300 and some odd fantasy
TJ.
points finding about 400, for 4,300 passing yards, give or take, 33 touchdowns in there. So, I mean, they're thinking they're going to be a pass-heavy team this year. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, more so than fantasy pros, but yeah, CJ, those stats are totally attainable. Absolutely. 43, 67, 33 touchdowns. Like I said, maybe a couple rushing touchdowns, couple 100 yards rushing. That's all attainable. That's all, and that'll put him right in the mix of being like a top 5 or 6 fantasy quarterback and right in the MVP mix, especially if the Texans win, maybe 13 games or something. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, where are we heading to next? Huh?
We're going, Jay. We're going east a little bit. We're going east a little bit, and we're going north a little bit. Driving up, I don't know what interstate goes from Houston to Indianapolis, but we're gonna figure it out. Maybe I-65. Or I think that goes from Nashville to. Oh well. Yeah, we got the Colts here. I wish we could make like a little Bucking Broncos sound, like. Not the Broncos, but the Colts with the little horseshoes, hoofs. I think it's hoofs.
There you go.
The clacking, like the little Budweiser commercials. The Clydesdales, they're clacking and clacking. That's what we're doing with the Colts here. So Jay's got the 2024 rookies up there. Gold from Oregon State. He might be a sleeper. He might be. Oregon State. We know their track record. Obviously we know their track record with receivers. Tyjae Houshmandzadeh, anybody? Ocho. Oregon State is some pretty good receivers. Obviously Adonai Mitchell, very high on him because that's why he's listed here in the top 5. We're gonna kick it off with JT himself. Yeah, like LA Knight says. We're gonna kick it off with JT. Got Jonathan Taylor. He was banged up last year, obviously. He's not. I don't know if he's ever gonna touch like the year he should have won the MVP. Like the Colts have been better, and they don't give him the running backs anymore. All the MVP. Let's be honest, all the MVPs are quarterbacks now. So I don't know if he's gonna touch. Remember a couple of years ago, I think it was 2021. He had that MVP level season. Yeah. I don't think he's ever gonna sniff that again. But I think he can. I think he can definitely be a top 6 or 7 fantasy back. I think 4 is a little high, honestly. But what do you think about John? Just because it'd be easy to put AR5 at 1, just for his potential and what he's going to do on the ground attack and what he could do through the air. And we know all his skill set, but I haven't seen a full year of AR5 yet, so I can't just immediately anoint him the number 1 guy.
Yeah, I think you're right. Taylor being there for the last couple of years. He pretty much a guy that we wanted right off the bat. We were drafting him before CMC. Because we wanted him, and
it seems Jay, it seems unthinkable now, but there a couple of years ago he was getting taken over everybody. He was the number 1 fantasy back being drafted. Yeah,
he was. If you think about it, CMC is the guy that's going ahead of everybody. Breece Hall. Who knows? Maybe in the next year or so that Breece Hall will be the guy going over everybody else.
Maybe A-Chain. You got Breece, A-Chain, CMC. Yep. There's running back. The running back position, they don't get paid very well, but it's very healthy. You have a lot of fantasy studs everywhere.
Yeah, if you think about what he did, his first couple of years, he had over 1,000 some yards. The last couple of years, but that's because due to health, and whatnot. At 807, So he had 7 touchdowns when he started coming back. 4 touchdowns before, but look about 18 touchdowns, in 2021, 11 in 2020. So this guy's electric. If he didn't get injured, he probably would still be the guy coming off the first, be CMC, Taylor, and then maybe Breece, and then the other guys right down the line. But that's not the case now. Yeah, maybe next year. But we'll have to see.
I mean, we'll see if I don't know if a full healthy year of Taylor. I'd like to see where he's at now, just with his body and with Shane Steichen. The head coach. We know what a creative, good play caller he is from his days with Philly, and what he did with that bum Miles Sanders, who I think was cut, and Jalen and all the Eagles backs, Gainwell and all those boys. So, Intro X, he's back. Where the rest of you at? Where the hell are the rest of you at? Intro X, the X-Man, he's laying out the comments, and where are you at? Richardson can stay healthy. The Colts make the playoffs. Absolutely. That's why I got them finishing second in this division. That's the reason, because they're going to make everybody stays healthy here. They're going to make at least a wild card. I think they could be the 6th or 7th seed. Absolutely. It's better than you think. I mean, people like to shit on the Colts or whatever, but it's like, no, they got a good coach. They got, a damn good running back. If he could stay healthy, I mean, they have a dynamic, basically a younger, bigger Lamar Jackson at quarterback. Pittman, he's not quite a high one, but he'd be a high level 2, low level 1 receiver. And, bringing in Adonai Mitchell, Josh Downs I think is a solid number 3. I think Adonai Mitchell should jump him right away on the depth chart. I think technically right now Josh Downs is the number 2 receiver, but I would assume Adonai Mitchell is going to jump him. I mean, Mitchell's got the good. I think Mitchell. You'll see it on my rookie list here after we were done here, but I've got Adonai Mitchell ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU. I've got Adonai Mitchell as the best rookie receiver.
What?
In this.
What? It's kind of crazy to think about this. Pittman played a lot in the slot role. I was trying to figure that out. But I think he ended up getting his knee getting bumped in some 11-on-11 drills. Downs, he played a lot of the slot too a little bit when Pittman was outside. And that's what I was trying to figure out. I'm like, where? Because I was going back trying to just watch some highlights of just Mitchell in general, and I think Mitchell will probably actually play a little bit on the outside and then sprinkle in Pierce. He did a little bit of, here's the crazy funny thing is that Pierce, this a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4, he was out there on almost 95% of the plays. That's just, it just blew my mind to see, and I'm like, dude, this guy was out there and he only had maybe 400 receiving yards. I'm like, what the hell is this garbage? If he was out there and almost 95% of the plays, why didn't he have 500, 600 yards?
Alec Pierce is the best number 4 receiver in the NFL. Yeah, I said it. Alec Pierce is the best number 4 receiver. Well, it's like being the smartest kid with Down syndrome, Eli. I know, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Alec Pierce, when he gets out there, the guy, he does. He puts up some stats. He does. He doesn't get a lot of opportunities, but Jay's been in love with this guy for a couple years. There's a reason why he was he a 2nd-round pick or 3rd-round pick a couple years ago? I forget.
He was second round pick.
You've been on him since he was a rookie.
Yeah, he was 2nd-round pick he was 2nd-round pick. So I was just like, well, shit. Because, the Colts didn't really have a guy. I mean, they didn't really have anybody there. I mean, they had Pitt and then, sprinkling some Pierce,
Jay, I was going to say quick, Pittman had 156 targets last year. 156. He ain't that. I'm sorry. You can't be a winning team targeting Michael Pittman 156 times. He's not that. I'm sorry. I think he's right where Devontae Smith, like a high end 2. I think he's right. T. Higgins, that kind of Devontae Smith range. I don't think he's a 1. But they had to target him like he was a 1. But you had other pieces you could have worked in there. I mean, there could have been more Alec Pierce. There could have been more of the tight ends.
Yeah, Josh Downs a little bit. I mean,
Josh Downs actually had he was the number 43 receiver in PPR last year. So he actually had not a Puka level, legendary level rookie season, but Josh Downs had a damn good rookie year. 98 targets, 68 catches. I mean, there's a reason why people are sleeping on the Colts. Colts are a dark horse. They really are. Definitely make the playoffs. I mean,
their wide receiver room is actually looking better. I mean, it's actually looking up.
Seriously, you add Adonai Mitchell in there, who I don't think he's got high end talent, but I mean, he could come in and be a highly, a really good maybe 70, 75 catch guy. You combine him with Alec Pierce and Josh Downs and Pittman. I mean, that receiving room just got, way better.
I was trying to, I was trying to look at, I was trying to find a way to just trash Xavier Worthy as much as I could. I'm like, okay, Adonai Mitchell has to be better than this guy.
He is.
He just has
but
to.
But he's not working in the Chiefs offense. The Chiefs are going to make, if Worthy's going to do anything, it's because of Mahomes and Reed and, just the offense he's working in. You put Xavier Worthy in Carolina, he'd be out of the league in a couple years.
Yeah, I mean, no one would be.
He'd be John fucking Ross. That's who he'd be.
And I actually had to go back and take a look. Worthy played each time that the Longhorns got into the playoffs. They, in their bowl game against, they played in the bowl game and in the championship game against Washington.
Yeah,
Washington shut him down.
They shut Washington wasn't known for their defense. I mean, we knew Washington for the receivers. I mean, the 3 NFL receivers, the running back Dylan Johnson, obviously Penix. We knew him for the offense. Washington wasn't known as a stout defense, like a stopper defense, and they shut Worthy down. What's going to happen when you get pro? I mean, like I said, it's kind of like Caleb. It's almost like skewed in his favor to succeed. Like it's not. What I mean? It's not a typical rookie quarterback situation. Like even what Bryce Young's got to deal with. He doesn't have the level of talent Caleb's going to have. But it's like Adonai Mitchell is not going to have the same. I mean, Shane Steichen's good. He ain't Andy Reid. I mean, AR5 is, we don't know what's there yet. But Patrick Mahomes is a proven MVP, Super Bowl winner. Some of the pieces and they've had Tyreek Hill, who's. I mean, Tyreek is. I mean, I shouldn't even compare Tyreek Hill to Xavier Worthy. That's disgusting to say, but similar,
it is
size. You know what I mean? Similar size, similar speed.
Yeah,
he's not as strong as Tyreek and can get off the. But
and that's where Adonai. I think he's like 6'2" or 6'3", where what Xavier is only like 5'10", 5'11". So I mean, and the crazy, I was actually trying to look.
He's like 160 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, Mitchell saw 11 touchdowns. Mitchell saw 11 touchdowns compared to what Worthy did in 2021 with 12 touchdowns. Each year, it seemed like Worthy's touchdown progression was dimming down. So he wasn't really, his production value was actually slimming down compared to actually should have been going up. When and if you think about it, Mitchell was with the Bulldogs the year before. They had where he was guys with Pickens and McClunky and all those other guys that actually got drafted high and whatnot. And he was playing against those guys. He comes over and heads up with Worthy, and it's a whole totally different ball game. It's I just think Mitchell with him being in the Colts is actually going to be something to watch. It is, and it's crazy to think about. I was trying to find the targets. Worthy was actually targeted over 100 some odd times in his 3-year career. Mitchell was almost targeted 100 times just last year. I think he was injured in 2022. I'm not sure what 2021 was, but I think he played a full year, but he wasn't quite acclimated with the offense. But I think he got hurt one year, I think.
92 targets last year for Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah, which is crazy. That's almost 100. I mean, if you think about it, that's almost an average of, maybe a typical wide receiver too, what they usually get, so it's.
Yep. And there, I would like a better number one than Michael Pittman Jr. alongside Adonai Mitchell. You'd like an AJ Brown or, guy on that level, like a Tyreek. You'd love a like legit number one guy. Even Nico Collins. Nico's almost become, a legit number one. He's close. But Pittman Jr. is not going to be targeted 156 times. So a lot of those targets, those targets probably going to come down maybe 20, 25 targets. Maybe that number goes down from 156 with Gardner fucking Minshew. maybe right? Down to something more reasonable, maybe like 130, 135.
It is
20 extra targets for various guys. So
yeah, it's with them having Pittman, Downs, adding Mitchell to this crew. I mean, they had a bunch of other guys. I was like, what? Like who? I mean, like they, I think Pierce is the bottom line. I mean, they have Anthony Gold there, but I think he'd be more your. I think he'll probably fall in with special teams before he maybe got acclimated with the offense. But Pierce, I think, is the bottom line. The best wide receiver for you can get in. With the Colts. I mean, the guy's got Ashton Dolan, DJ Montgomery. I mean, that's just a bunch of other guys that are just like no namers, really.
Yeah.
So Pierce is the.
None of those, Jay. Nobody, Anthony Gold is interesting. The kid from Oregon State. He could win the 5 spot, but anybody, and he's a rookie, so he'll get a little more leeway. The other guys, I wouldn't be shocked if a single one of them was, like, oh, Ashton Doolin was cut. Yeah, what'd you think was going to happen? The guy's a scrub. So go down the list. You have these 4. Yeah, basically these 4 guys. We'll see what Gold can do as a developmental guy. Probably. You'll maybe see spot duty for him here and there.
Yeah,
and then the other guys,
most definitely.
They're warm bodies to fill out a depth chart. I mean, nothing more.
Yeah, I think Pierce was the bottom line. I think Pierce would be a good deep guy in your deeper leagues if you need a guy. I mean, with AR5 just kind of running around, kind of scrambling and stuff like that. I think that might push him down a little bit because if you think about what he did the last couple of years, I mean. He only had 2 touchdowns, and he should have had more. But he didn't. He didn't have hardly anything, which really kind of bums me out because I would have thought maybe last year he would have had maybe 4 touchdowns or 5 touchdowns at least last year, but that wasn't even the case.
Well, yep, and there's a very good reason, like with the Texans. I mean, this is becoming a quarterback receiver league, and then a lot of the running back too. I mean, But I mean, a lot of these depth charts, especially in the better offenses, a lot of these fantasy 5s, a lot of these depth charts. I mean, it's going to feature a high end receivers. That's just, we're talking mainly receiver because that's just where the league is at. So, I guess we could get into tight ends since Jelani Woods is up there. But the Colts have a lot of these kind of guys: Jelani Woods, Mo Alley Cox, Granson. Just a lot of these C-level tight ends, just got guys on the bottom, probably between the 27th to 35th tight end. Like they would never crack a top 5 list with Josh Downs, AR5, Jonathan Taylor, any of these guys. I mean, it's a joke. I mean, you gotta. I guess you gotta gut the team somewhere. You can't pay everybody, but I mean, they really went cheap on the tight end room. I mean,
it is. I was just looking at that. I'm just like, dude, it's just gross. And I had to put this guy here, and I'm like, dude, this is like gross.
Yeah, this is probably the only time we're gonna. Well, he'll be a waiver guy because, like I said, these Colts guys, they pop up with a random 2 touchdown game. It's almost like clockwork. You can mark it. I'm gonna call week 7 this year. One of these Colts receivers is gonna have a 2 touchdown game. It'll be Granson or something. And be like, oh, there'll be a gold rush to go and get, one of these tight ends, but they're not worth, they're a guy you could drop and then pick up later. They're like kickers. The Colts tight ends are the equivalent of like kickers and defenses. You know what I mean? Just drop them, pick up another one for your bye week or whatever, and then you just go about your business. That's what these Colts tight ends are about. I would rather have Isaiah Likely, who's a backup. I would rather have Josh Oliver with the Vikings. He's a backup. I mean, there's some decent backups in the league I'd rather have than these Colts guys, even the Colts starter. Jelani, I use that term. Jelani Woods, a starting tight end in the NFL. Come on now.
Yeah. Here's a crazy thought. Adonai Mitchell's coming off in the 16th round, and Josh Downs is coming off in the 19th round. So I mean, if you think about these guys are they're in their core. You can get these guys late in your draft, and Mitchell will probably be the wide receiver too in this situation. And then down sprinkle in some Downs because Downs actually played a bit more in the slot. Like I mentioned, I think Pittman will play a little slot, but if Pittman's on the outside, Downs will be play in the freaking slot. So I think it's gonna be vice versa. So I mean, it's just gonna be mixed around, but I think a lot of Mitchell will be in the outside. I don't think he'll play much. I don't think I've seen him in the slot much, but other than that, Pittman and Downs, they'll probably be vice versa in there, and I think they'll just keep Mitchell in the outside, I believe.
Yeah, that's the way they should. I never saw Mitchell as a slot guy. He's not, he's a deep play guy, X receiver. So just Pittman, I never said, I'm not trying to shit on Michael Pittman. He's really, really good. He's not great. And it's hard because when you're competing against, we just talked about the Texans. The Texans are in your same division. They're going to be fighting for the Super Bowl. The Chiefs will be there. If Burrow is healthy, the Bengals might be in contention. The Ravens will obviously be back there. Buffalo should be up in there. Who knows? Maybe Aaron Rodgers has a resurrection. He goes to one of his retreats and just poof, Garrett Wilson has a 1,600-yard season or something, and the Jets are in the mix. The AFC is just stacked. So when you don't have like a legit number one receiver, like a consensus around, it's kind of hard. But yeah, Michael Pittman, he could definitely play on anybody's fantasy team though. He's just for what they use though, but he's solid. I'm not shitting on Michael Pittman. He's a really good receiver. He's just not elite.
Yeah. He's actually coming off. He's kind of like your, fourth guy coming off the board in the fourth round, give or take. And if guys going off the board afterwards, Waddle, he's the number 2. He's coming off in the 5th round. So if you're not getting Pittman, there's Waddle there, Kupp, Deontay Smith, Samuel. Some of those guys are coming off. Even DJ Moore, he was the number 1 with the freaking Bears. He's coming off in the 6th round. So if you didn't take Pittman in the 4th, there's still good talents, later on in your guys' drafts as well too.
Is it? Now, I was going to ask quick. Since we got the tight ends banged out, receivers banged out. Running back. Okay, we did JT. Is there anybody on the Colts depth chart running back? Evan Hall doesn't do it for me. Maybe he does for you. I don't know. Maybe Trey Sermon. Maybe he's the next 49ers back that has a resurrection like Raheem Mostert did last year and has fucking 20 touchdowns. I don't know what. Do you see? I don't see anybody else that. Yeah, we got the 2 guys there: Trey Sermon, Evan Hall. This is going to be a Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, 75% of rushes. Let's up that a little bit. Let's up that to 85.
Yeah. Here's my thoughts on the Colts background.
I'll give that 2 thumbs down.
Yeah, this backfield is trash, total trash. If Taylor stays,
Taylor goes down, they're fucked.
Yeah, they are. They're going to have to, if he did get up getting injured again, they are going to have to find somebody who knows. Hey, wait, is there a guy out there named Kareem Hunt? Maybe you guys should go out there and get Kareem Hunt and bring him in with their system. He's better than Evan Hall.
Keep Kareem Hunt close, because these backs get hurt all the damn time. Kareem Hunt seems like he's a free agent every year now, and some team signs him. I think the Browns brought him back in last year. Like, just be on the lookout for Kareem Hunt. Just saying, one of these backs goes, especially in this backfield, because there's literally nothing behind Taylor and Kareem Hunt. Even at Kareem Hunt's advanced age, I think Kareem Hunt's 29, something like that.
I don't know what he is actually.
Jay, he's better. He's better than anything else they have.
Most definitely. Yeah, that's
better than Hall. He's better than Sermon. So
which is why I mentioned
back. and Taylor's got an injury history. Taylor's got it. He sounds crazy right now. Week 10, it might not be crazy. Like, oh shit, I better go pick up Kareem Hunt. He's about to start for the Colts.
Yeah. He's 28 years old, but think about it. He didn't really have a whole lot because Ford was kind of in there. But if you think about it, he had 9 touchdowns last year. 9. And only had 411 yards, but he had 9 touchdowns. So he's kind of like a Zach Moss if Taylor went down. He's
a touchdown bandit. I call him the bandit.
Yeah, but it sounds like he Hunt he did had a sports hernia surgery here, and it might take a little bit to be back on track. But if he did, other than that, think about it. Kareem Hunt's out there. I think he would fit good in this system.
I think anybody that's got a decent skill set, with Shane Steichen, I think they'll be just fine. Joe Flacco. I think Joe Flacco is the backup, isn't he?
No, I think he's gone.
No, with the Colts though.
Oh, maybe, yeah. No, that's right. Yeah. I think, yeah, he did sign them. He signed with them.
I put Joe in as an honorable mention because if something, like I said, AR5, this isn't like his 60, like Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's been banged up at times too, but like the guy has a couple MVPs, crazy fantasy stats. So, I trust Lamar Jackson. I mean, you're okay. I mean, I'm not worried about injury, but AR5, I mean, that there's always that in the back of your head. Like, okay, he doesn't have a full season under his belt. 1 year, only played, handful of games. Like,
yeah, he pretty much literally came off the couch to come in and play for the the Browns and fucking tore it up. So I'm just like, what?
So it's like no pun intended, sleeper option. Joe Flacco, I mean, keep him around, especially dynasty. Absolutely. If he's on your dynasty team right now, you hold on to that man because there's a good chance he could start at least. I'd say even if AR5 he does play a full year, he's going to be banged up at least 1 or 2 games. That's just going to be. So I mean, Joe Flacco, I think could start at least 2 games for this team.
Yeah, well, yeah, with the weapons they got, yeah. I mean, Joe's slinging around. Hell yeah, dude.
Oh, absolutely. So keep an eye out for Joe Flacco.
And Kareem. Don't draft any. Don't worry about drafting. No, none of these Colts tight ends. They're not going to help you any.
No,
They're
junk.
just all trash, total garbage. All right.
Any thoughts left on the Colts, or
No, I don't think so. I think that was all my notes I had on them. I just got notes for the Jags and the Titans left. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting conversation for, so we gave you guys, the good team. I don't know about the good teams. I mean, maybe the Colts
Colts and Jags are close. I mean, there's one legit good, really good team, Texans. And then there's could be good. I mean, if things go right, could be good teams. And then one team I think is going to be not Patriot giant bad, but bad. I mean, Titans are going to be bad. Let's get into that damn Trevor Lawrence, that overpaid, overhyped quarterback.
Oh, the guy that just got paid like a bunch of money,
$dollars to go put up 15th ranked quarterback stats and go out and miss the playoffs and be talked about like generational talent and all this.
Garbage goober, get out here and eat this garbage.
Yeah. we need some more Rick and Morty, more rock sound effects, some Bray Wyatt per Bubba. Bubba said he wanted to see some Bray Wyatt.
Yes.
Yowie, wowie. And more Rick and Morty, definitely.
Yeah,
I actually like that little Jags logo. It almost looks like a college logo, like the little Jag face you have there with the little hat. I like that.
So everybody, we're on our second half of our show. So we're giving you the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we'll hit up the Tennessee Titans. So if you guys missed it, the first half was Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts. So yeah, this is where we're at right now. We're gonna hit up the Jags and the Titans next, and I have a dark horse guy to watch. I'll bring that up here shortly. So I'll put that up on the screen here in a little bit. So
it damn sure ain't Devin Duvernay. I'm telling you.
So I have a nice little
journeyman receivers.
Yes, I know, right? That fucking Duvernay guy. God.
But yeah, so he's not going to be mentioned here. But Travis Etienne is going to be mentioned because he's my number 1 fantasy Jag. Now this could cause a little debate. That's what we got the comments section for. If you want to jump in, I've never actually met a Jags fan, but if they exist, if you want to chime in, defend your players. I mean, by all means, please. The platform is yours. But Evan Ingram is damn good. He ain't great. Trevor Lawrence is average as average comes, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything special about the guy. He's better than like David Carr, but I mean, he's not. No, he ain't any of these other guys we've been talking up. CJ, even Aaron Rodgers. I think I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers this year than Trevor Lawrence, like fantasy.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. I if I get an opportunity to draft some Aaron Rodgers, actually, that's actually funny. That's actually the first time I'll say I want some Rodgers because other years, I'll be like,
Here's the YouTube short right here. Here's the X debate here. Would you rather have Trevor Lawrence or Aaron Rodgers on your fantasy team for 2024? That's a good one.
well, I'm gonna take Aaron Rodgers.
I'm taking Rodgers too. Yep.
I don't care for this guy that's overpaid.
I don't either.
You know, the only guy that actually got paid, which I think we mentioned last week, because think about it. Trey Lance, no, nothing, and a bunch of other guys are not even in the league anymore.
Zach Wilson, that's a joke. I mean, I know Denver's, the elevation's high, and the whole town is high. I mean, everybody's got pop brownies and fucking goodies.
Well, hey, you have to think about it. I mean, he's got to keep all those milfs warm somehow. Come on.
Yeah, right. He's got to keep the milfs warm. They must have been smoking something that think, oh, Zach Wilson's gonna beat. He can't even beat out Jarrett Stidham. Just stop. Stop. That 2021 draft class is a joke. Get out of here. But yeah, we'll start Travis Etienne because why not? He was the number 3 PPR fantasy back last year. Had almost 1,500 all-purpose yards, 12 touchdowns total, 11 rushing. Just you know what? He's picked up the baton. I mean, James Robinson for a cup of coffee was supposed to be the maybe the feature guy. Nope. Travis Etienne took the baton and he went up about 5 levels. So Travis Etienne, unquestioned. Tank Bigsby, I thought he might have some potential last year as a rookie, but he's just going to be a rotational guy. I didn't see anything in his rookie year to think, oh, this could be a future, feature guy, or he could kind of like what we think about Tyjae Spears, right? We wouldn't. I don't think anybody would be shocked if Tyjae Spears beat out Tony Pollard at some point, during the course of the year, and had more rushing attempts or had more reception, more targets than him. I think that's very possible. Tyjae Spears could be the feature back with the Titans eventually. I don't feel that same way about Tank Bigsby. So Travis Etienne, the unquestioned feature back. I'd say consensus, top 7 or 8 fantasy back, as he should be. They got him running back. Like I said, running back 7 coming off the board. That sounds about right. What are your thoughts on? Let's talk about the whole running back room here. We're not going to go. We'll go in depth, but not as in depth as with the Colts and Texans. But what do you think about this whole running back room here?
Yeah, Etienne is the guy you want. Tank Bigsby he'll probably get a little bit here and there. Maybe some third down touches. Give Etienne a little bit of break. But if you look at it, rush percentages. I mean, he's rush carries. I mean, he's going to be the guy sprinkling a little bit of Tank Bigsby a little bit. I mean, Dearness Johnson was kind of here and there. I mean, he won't really matter. But they did draft that Keelan Robinson. But maybe Keelan Robinson does a little bit more with what he is able to get. Maybe he passes Dearness, Johnson. I mean, just like the other Robinson guy that we talked about, who thought he was going to be somebody, he went to the Patriots and got cut. So it's just like, nope, see ya. See you later.
The Packers and got cut. And I think the Saints had got cut. And the countless other teams, you just get cut. You're going to see it. That's going to be on his Wikipedia page. Was cut by 7 NFL teams. James Robinson, 2020, offensive rookie of the year. Blah blah blah. Keelan Robinson, he's an interesting prospect. I mean, he had some decent games with Texas last year. Obviously, they had Quinn Ewers and the receivers, Mitchell and Worthy, so you didn't get as much. And even Jatavian Sanders, the tight end. I mean, they were stacked with skill position guys, with the Longhorns last year. So
yeah, they were for sure.
I don't really know how good Keelan Robinson is or could be. I would assume I would put my betting money he's a rotational guy. He's kind of like where Dearness Johnson's at. Like if there's an injury, maybe he gets some touches, or I mean something seriously would have to happen. This is kind of similar situation with the Colts, but only it's a little brighter, I guess, because Tank Bigsby could somewhat fill in for a little bit. Like if something did happen to Etienne, I mean the Colts have nothing. They would have to get on the phone with Kareem Hunt right away and say, Kareem, Jacksonville might be able to piece it together a little bit better if Etienne goes down. But this is another one running back room.
Yeah, it's like walking down the yellow brick road and just kind of see what happens.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful. Yeah. Dearness Johnson, journeyman guy. I remember him with the Browns. Like he's had a few moments in the league, but would anybody be shocked if Dearness Johnson was cut or traded or, Keelan Robinson could easily end up as the number 3 back. So, and we're not saying that in a redraft league, go out and get him or, best ball or anything, but in a dynasty league, yeah, Keelan Robinson's worth, kicking the tires on, definitely on the practice squad, definitely on your taxi squad. And, maybe, I don't know, just see what happens. Any more thoughts on the running back room? I want to talk a little. I want to talk a little Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram. Yeah, I think that's kind of a gist. I mean, ETN is gonna be the guy you want. Tank Bigsby just in case. I mean, he'll probably end up being some other guy will probably draft him just in case. ETN gets hurt.
He's a good insurance. He's a good insurance plan. I mean, I would in this NFL where these running backs are the most susceptible skill position. I would always have, if you're a number 2 back, you're never that far away from getting feature running back touches or targets out of the backfield. So Tank Bigsby is definitely worth. I don't know, like maybe in a deeper league, I'd say in a maybe 16, 20 man league, you could probably make some use. Definitely, I think 6 is that crazy to say? 16 man league, having Tank Bigsby on your bench.
Yeah. Actually, it probably wouldn't. It probably wouldn't. It probably wouldn't even hurt to actually have that guy, on your. I was actually gonna take a look and see what he had for rush share. So I mean, Dearness Johnson was out playing Tank Bigsby, and he actually had more snaps than Tank Bigsby, which is kind of sad. So that's kind of like a foot in your mouth a little bit. But maybe Tank Bigsby, kind of learning the offense, that role will swap here, and Dearness Johnson will be kind of like, be a long gone. Shit, they even had Jermichael Hasty, who was on this roster, and he's not even nowhere to be seen. So it's just kind of like the names after names, but Tank Bigsby, 12% of the snap share over ETN's 73. So I mean, maybe he gets a little bit more in the role, and so I think Bigsby probably will be the guy you more likely would want. I want to say like draft him. Maybe he might be on the waiver wire in some of your smaller leagues. But if anything, just as for
10, 12 man league, he start. Something happens to ETN, 10, 12 man league. It's like piranhas. You're looking for the one fresh piece of meat you can get. So. Tank Bigsby's there, and something happens to ETN. It's going to be a bum rush. It's going to be a gold rush to go and snag him up.
I mean, he didn't light up the year. I mean, he had a couple of carries, 13, 10, 8, 9. The biggest one he had so far was probably 21 against Tennessee and 32. He had 10 carries, 32 yards against Carolina. But I think he had 2 touchdowns at the beginning of the year, and that was it. So other than that, you didn't hear anything else from him. So he's actually
if he was a 5th year guy, I'd be like, yep, write him off. Yep. But as a backup, I'm okay with first year, maybe he gets maybe gets a little better. Comes in the training camp maybe a little lighter or something, but do they have any other tight ends? I mean, do we really need to go beyond Evan Ingram? I mean, do they have any other tight ends? Let's look at the Jags depth chart here.
I mean, we're getting kind of little feral up in here, but
yeah. What kind of bums they? Okay, Luke Farrell, nope. Ick.
Brenton Strange.
Brenton Strange. Somehow he was a second round. This guy was a second round pick last year, and he's a complete bust. And some other random dudes. So it's a one tight end room. You ain't got to worry about Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram's one of one. I think what else needs to be said? I mean, the guy was the number 2 fantasy tight end last year. I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like he had when you had Laporta, you had Hawkinson. I mean, Kelsey's still in the league. You have a lot of heavy hitters up at the top, and this guy was number 2. This guy was the number 2 fantasy guy last year with tight ends. 114 catches, 143 targets. I mean, that's insane for a fucking tight end to get 143 targets. I mean, the problem with
he did, which is crazy to think about. I mean, he was out there on good majority of all the snaps. I'm like, what? I'm like, you have to be freaking kidding me. I'm like, this is nuts. He was actually out there in 87% of the snaps, and I believe he actually led the team last year too.
Yeah, I don't believe it because Doug Peterson, the coach, probably realized what we did. Yeah, our backups suck, but basically we need Evan out there every play. We need him blocking, we need him catching, maybe a sneak run or something. Like we need Evan doing. I mean, this guy was doing a little bit of everything in that position, and off the board at tight end 7. I think that's a good deal. I mean, with some of the younger guy, because it's questionable. Like, okay, how high does Jake Ferguson go? We know Trey McBride's probably going to be better. We know Sam Laporta is. Hawkinson's going to be in that. I think Hawkinson will be in that mix. I think him and Ingram are similar. Where do you think him coming off as the 7th tight end? Do you think that's, or you might have the round in front of you too, but like him coming off as the 7th tight end, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I think probably right about 6th round, probably the 7th guy off the board. Yeah, even 6th guy. I mean, probably even he's coming off but he, say just give or take, and I did in one of my other best balls. He came off in the 6th round, right after Pitts. Then you had Bowers, Kittle.
What is this? What the fuck is this? What is this fascination with Kyle Pitts? I mean, seriously, I just said on our previous, maybe you should go back and watch the beginning of the show. I said I'd rather have Dalton Schultz than Kyle Pitts. You damn right. Trust Kyle Pitts. The fuck out, get out of here.
Give me Jake Ferguson, who was actually in the 9th round.
Yeah, give me Jake Ferguson over both those guys. But yeah, damn sure Schultz. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Going above Evan Ingram, are you on crack? You rather have Evan Ingram? You rather have Kyle Pitts than Evan Ingram? You need to be drug tested.
Oh, dude, that's priceless.
I think he definitely earned he earned the number 2 spot on this team, right? I mean,
yeah, he did. I mean, they did. If you think about it, I mean, they had really not a whole lot of options. I mean, so yeah, I mean, Evan Ingram was a guy. I mean, it's funny to think about. This is what we wanted him to be with the freaking Giants, and he he could not even do that. It's like what?
Up everybody. I'd be interested. I mean, how many years did they potentially fuck up Sterling Shepard?
I love Sterling Shepard, dude. I love him.
He's been talking this guy up for years, and I'm like, Jay, I don't see it. I mean, I think when he plays, he's decent, but I'm like, maybe, I'm okay with Sterling Shepard as the number 3 receiver or something, but I mean, I don't know. I just go back to the Giants. I mean, I think they fucked up Saquon. I think they cost maybe Saquon a Hall of Fame career. I mean, there's a bunch of Giants are just a train wreck. Evan Ingram, another example. What do they have for tight ends now? Okay, you let Evan Ingram go, so what? So you could start Daniel Bellinger? He's not even this guy's not even a top 30 tight end. He's not even. I don't think he's a top 35 tight end.
They'll bring in the Strange. We'll Strange it out.
Yeah, Giant. There you go, Giant. They can trade for Grinch. Get out of here. Trevor Lawrence, number 3, quarterback. I mean, because nothing here. 4,000 yards pass. I mean, those would have been good statistics, in like 1997. With Vinny Testaverde and guys like that. But I mean, 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 14 picks is kind of mid. That's kind of the going rate of being. That's basically the going rate of being a starting quarterback in the NFL. Which I mean, he's average. He's not bad. He's not great.
Hell, if Trevor Lawrence can't get it done, maybe Mac Jones can come in and run this offense.
Right? Yeah. Speaking of teams that fuck up, quarterbacks and skill position guys. I mean, the Patriots. I mean, they know all too well. Goddamn. Maybe Mac Jones has got something in the tank that we didn't see with New England, but Lawrence. He gets you a little bit with. I mean, gets you 4. I think projected to have like 4 rushing touchdowns. So I mean, he gets you a little bit with the rushing. Maybe a little bit more than like a Jordan Love or a Dak would get you on the ground. But I mean, he doesn't throw those quarterbacks kind of why he's not up there fantasy wise, because he doesn't throw 32, 36 touchdowns. He's going to throw 21, 23 touchdowns.
Yeah.
and he's going to throw a lot of picks. He's going to have a lot. I mean, he's just, I don't know. I don't know what to say. He's just, I mean, he's good at, I mean, if you're in a 2-quarterback league, absolutely, you got to start him. But
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. In 2-quarterback leagues, yeah, it's a little bit different story. I mean, yeah, I mean,
is it crazy to say in a 12-man league? Is it crazy to say in a 12-man league where you can only start one quarterback that I don't know if I'd start Trevor Lawrence?
and there's probably other quarterbacks I would practically honestly take over Trevor Lawrence. There would be.
They talked this guy up like he was the second coming. I mean, they talked this guy up so goddamn much, and they're doing the same thing with Caleb now.
Hell, give me Jordan Love, Brock Purdy. I'll take Justin Herbert over him.
I'll take Brock Purdy. Absolutely, I would take. I mean, and the statistics back it up too. I mean, Brock's had I think he was number 6 quarterback in fantasy last year. Like Brock Purdy, absolutely, without a question, I'd take Brock Purdy in a heartbeat. Dak, I'd take in a heartbeat. Jordan Love, I'd take in a heartbeat. You go down the list, just start, checking them off. I take even at Matt Stafford at 87 years old. I'd take Matt Stafford over Trevor Lawrence.
I'm trying to see where Trevor Lawrence is, where he came off on their board. I'm trying to find him right now. Yeah, fifth round. So if you think about it, you got Tua, Jeff Goff, swing corner, Stafford, Lawrence, then Williams, Daniels. So I mean, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, hell, give me
right by rookies.
Give me, yeah,
he's right by rookies.
And then swing that around the 7th round, Kirk Cousins, Mayfield. Then you got McCarthy, Geno Smith, Watson. Is it sad to say Watson could maybe even have a better year than Trevor Lawrence?
No, well, I can't bring myself to say that because at least Lawrence isn't a piece of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, true.
I just don't think he's very good, but I think he's a decent guy. Like my thoughts on Watson, but
yeah, I mean, hell, I mean, I would probably,
fantasy wise, I think that'd be a good debate. Like of these 3 guys, who would you rather have? Baker, Trevor Lawrence, or Deshaun Watson?
Yeah,
I think that'd be a good debate. Like for the 2024 season, because I mean, Lawrence he's got the weapons here. I mean, we're going to talk about the 2 receivers here in a second, but obviously Lawrence, it's not a lack of weapons. I mean, he's got
they had some good weapons,
one of the best running backs in the league, one of the best tight ends. When Christian Kirk is healthy, he's a probably a top 20 receiver, maybe top 25, something like that. So, but some of these players, we have to cover. We cover every division, all 32 teams, but there's just certain. I'm like, I got to talk about Trevor Lawrence. He's one of those guys that just like, what do I say here? Yeah, he's projected. Yes, Sleeper's got him projected. 3,900 yards, 25 touchdowns. Fantasy Pros about 24 touchdowns.
I mean,
his ceiling, Jay. That's what I'm saying. Like they talked, this guy, had a ceiling of like maybe 40, 42, like all time level quarterback. Ceiling is what 25 touchdowns if he's lucky. On a good day, 25 passing touchdowns, and if he's lucky on a good day, maybe 4,100 yards is his ceiling, like passing wise.
I mean, 41. Because I mean, the last 2 seasons he's had 4,000 yards passing. In the last, 2 of the last 2 of the 3 years.
I think he's reached. I seriously, I think he's in 3 years in the league. I think he's reached his ceiling. Like I don't think he's ever going to get better than 4,000 yards unless they add, they're up to 20 games or something. They add 3 more games or some shit. Like I don't see him ever, breaking over that ceiling of 25 touchdowns and 4,000 yards. So he's not gonna ever like get a, not gonna ever have a bunch of like, oh, I stole Trevor Lawrence in this redraft league. Like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about all, if you combined all of his touchdowns, it would average out to 19 touchdowns per year. I mean, that's not 25. That's not 30 touchdowns a year. That's only 19.
Mid.
Yeah, he's a mid-tier guy. He's a tier 2 guy. I won't be drafting any of him at all. I mean, I never have drafted any of him and never will. I'll take AR5 over Trevor Lawrence any day of the week. I'll even take Will Levis. Will Levis has better weapons than him. No, I don't care. I'll take Will Levis over Trevor Lawrence.
I can't go.
Will Levis will have a better year than Trevor Lawrence.
I'll take Jaden Daniels I'll take Jaden Daniels over Trevor Lawrence, and I've only seen college tape of Jaden Daniels, and I'm already convinced he's going to be a better pro than Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, I'm going to say it right now. Will Levis has a better year than Trevor Lawrence.
And we'll see. I mean, Will Levis might surprise people. He might shit the bed and get benched. I don't know. It's a fascinating thing with him. But with the money he's making, they're not going to be able to keep all these guys. I mean, with Lawrence, I mean, running backs and tight ends are cheap, I guess, but you get decent receivers in there or decent pass rushers, decent offensive tackles. They're going to want top of the market money. And when your quarterback isn't that good and he's making $55 million a year, it's just kind of limits everything. Enough about Lawrence. Let's bring up the 4 and 5, the Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas Jr. We can throw in.
I mean, you make good points. Even though that Trevor Lawrence can be making all this good money, but you have to think about what's our future going to look like. Are we going to have enough room to get another
build
better
the team?
A better third freaking wide receiver than Gabe Davis or Parker Washington. But I mean, and this is where my dark horse player is going to come in here real shortly.
I think I know what you're talking about. I like this guy too a lot. But yeah, Christian Kirk, obviously he was banged up last year, so we'll just throw that year out. But I mean, he's been a consistent, especially in his years in Jacksonville, he's been a consistent 1,000-yard guy. So he'll get you, if he's fully healthy, at least 1,000 yards, 5-6 touchdowns. Absolutely. You can.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
That's like clockwork. He should be the number. You'd figure he's the number one. And he's number one in target percentage too, projected. So I would say he's not a strong number one receiver, but he's their number one guy. You'd assume.
Yeah, he should be. I mean, when they signed him, I mean, he came out right away. 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns right away, bang, right out of the box. I mean, Arizona kind of fiddled around with him, and it's just like Arizona was dumb. They should have made him the feature guy, and he would have. I mean, he could have been freaking.
Yeah.
It could have been Christian Kirk and Marvin Harrison Jr. right now down there, but no, that's not the case.
Because that would have been perfect for him. He's miscast. Another guy like Pittman Jr., he's miscast as a 1 when he's actually a 2. Like Christian Kirk would do well with a guy like Marv Jr.
Yeah.
Or an AJ, I think Marv Jr. is going to be a legit 1. So I mean,
why do you think they had Calvin? They signed Calvin Ridley. I mean, Ridley had 85% of the team snaps. Then Kirk, so I mean, if you think about it, I mean, Calvin Ridley, had 1,000 some odd yards. So did Kirk. Kirk didn't have that. He had I think 900.
We got hurt. Yeah, he was hurt a little bit too. So.
Yeah. So I mean, it's almost 800, 3 touchdowns. But I mean, yeah, if he actually didn't get hurt, it probably would have been a 2-headed monster with 2 guys, 1,000 yards.
There's let's see, Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie. I don't know here. I mean, I just think playing alongside, Malik Neighbors probably made life easy on him. Obviously the pros, the prospect, they project him highly, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to be as good as Adonai Mitchell. I think Adonai Mitchell is going to be better with the Colts. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be probably a starter with these guys, but maybe I think a rookie year like a comp rookie year for him would be like JSN from the Seahawks, where he puts up like high end number 3 stats maybe. It's kind of what they projected, like 60 catches, 700 something yards, 5 touchdowns. That sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean they have to. I mean they
end 2, high end 3 receiver number.
I think he'll fall in. That's what I was trying to debate too, because I was like, And I think Gabe Davis, he'll actually kind of be on the outside a little bit. And it's funny, he had 7 touchdowns. He played 73% of snaps with the Bills. So I mean, he'll kind of be a factor in this offense, unfortunately. But even though I don't like the guy, he's still he had 100-yard game and 2 touchdowns that one game or some garbage like that. So I mean, he's kind of like a 50-50 guy. He's good, and then you're like, oh, he's on fire, then he's not. So I'm just for me, I'd stay away from him. I'll probably draft Brian Thomas before Gabe Davis. But
Davis does this magic trick where Like a couple times a year, he gets his. That's how he got those 7 touchdowns or whatever he had. Is because he has he'll have like a 3 touchdown game. Another game he'll have like 1, and then another game he'll have like 3. So he's actually only scoring touchdowns in probably 3 or maybe 4 games in a year. You know what I mean? So he's not. I don't trust the guy.
I wouldn't either. That's for damn sure. But yeah, I think he'll probably play a little bit of the outside role. They'll probably slap Kirk in the for a little bit of slot because he actually played quite a bit of slot there, here and there. So then I was thinking like, well, where's Thomas going to play at? So I thought maybe Thomas will actually maybe play outside role a little bit there. Kind of made it.
Yeah.
I think because he actually had 17. Dude, he had like 17 touchdowns, 1,100 some odd, receiving yards with the LSU. So it's just like, damn, dude. He's got a knack to finding the end zone. So I mean, I think him on the outside, little Kirk on either left or right side, either way. I think he played more on the left right side, anyways, than the So they might, if he's on one side, they'll probably swap him on the other side, and then Davis here and there, or whatever side, but. That's just how that's gonna roll out. Other than that, we mentioned Duvernay. I don't think he's. I mean, I don't so pretty much Kirk, Thomas, Davis. These guys are set for the 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
The fourth is going to be a little difficult. I think there's room for a sneaky guy to come up in there, and
Joshua Cepheus. There he is.
Joshua Cepheus is my sneaky guy. My dark horse player to watch here this training camp here. He's 6'3". You can see his stats from the last couple of years he played with the Roadrunners here.
Jay, like when we did his spotlight, he is the best player in the history. Yes. He is the best player in the history of this program. Not everybody can say that. I know. Where's Texas San Antonio? Doesn't matter. Okay, he's a road runner. He's the best road runner of all time. Okay.
Yeah, he is.
Is Marvin Harrison Jr. the best Ohio State player of all time? No. Is Malik Neighbors the best LSU player of all time? No. But Joshua Cepheus is the best road runner of all time.
He is, and and just looking at his stats, he kept getting better and better and better each year. And I'll pull this thing up here too real quick, because I'll put his little link up in there so you guys can go check him out. So he's a guy you guys want to watch. He is, I think, the second to last guy we talked about before we wrapped up our college spotlights. And just to think this, just look at this here real quick. He was the 15th guy in college fantasy in the nation that actually was up there with guys with Rome, Neighbors, Washington, Troy Franklin, and he was undrafted.
And who's probably going to be the number 1 receiver coming out of 2025? It might be McMillan from Arizona. You know what I mean? He's right in that mix. So I mean, you have 5 NFL receivers, and then he's 15th. I mean, so he was up there. I mean, statistically, he was up there, and yeah, he was undrafted.
Yeah. And that was kind of unfortunate, but I mean, I think he's got a nice work ethic for him to actually maybe be the number 4, maybe make the cut. Because I mean, he's 6'3". Well, I mean, why not have a guy like him that's as electric? He's good on the outside. I mean, he probably played a little bit in slot too. I don't remember like the highlights or whatever, but I mean, when we covered him, which I'll put that link up there for you guys to check out. So go over there, check him out. We broke him down team-wise and whatnot, just our overall thoughts and, him in general. So when we were talking about the Jaguars, I'm like, ooh, this is a perfect time for me to talk about Joshua Cepheus. So he's my dark horse for this team here, and I believe he could probably make the roster.
Yeah. With some of the scrubs they have, I mean, especially Duvernay he's at least a proven NFL receiver. Somewhat. So it's like, but I mean, there's no reason Josh Cepheus couldn't be their number 6 receiver and at least make the team, and then kind of go from there. He looks like a road runner. He runs like a road runner. That's his size. Like I think he's electric. He reminds me a lot of, like everybody's talking about Bub Means. I mean, we were the first ones on Bub Means from Pitt, the Saints receiver. We'll probably talk about Bub Means next week, but
yeah.
Bub's kind of taken, at least the, off season by storm a little bit, kind of coming out of nowhere. Josh Cepheus should be the same thing with the Jags.
Yeah, I remember my my mini comp was like a mini. He's like a mini CD Lamb, but coming from a different conference.
Yeah, not as
I
not
said
as high.
mini. I said mini.
but yeah, I get what you mean. Like body type, and some and it kind of even looks like CD Lamb, but
yeah, he does. I mean, that's why I'm like, when just the way his moves and everything, where he resembled a kind of a CD Lamb look-alike. So that's why I kind of put that out there. The way he ran, the way just the way he did his stuff, he looked like him. Not a top 5 CD Lamb.
Yeah, we don't want some troll. We had some troll on YouTube. He was making a comment about he was a Caleb defender, and I had to put him in his place. We didn't want somebody saying like, he compared Joshua Cepheus to CD Lamb. He thinks he's better. Blah blah. It's like, stop. He's a Cowboys fan. He loves CD Lamb. Stop.
Damn right I do.
Cepheus is going to catch some people off guard for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned him, and I think he'll be a guy that he'll probably, if he does good, well, maybe in preseason he even makes a cut. He lands on the roster, and so I think he'll see a few snaps here and there, but that's my dark horse player for the Jaguars. And who knows? Maybe I'll have another dark horse before our divisional previews are done.
Ooh. Well, you know what? I think we can stamp the Jags, stamp that down, covered that bum Trevor Lawrence. The problem is like, I mean, they just paid him all that money. Like, I mean, we'd like to think that, Mac Jones could beat him out, but that ain't happening. So, and I don't even think Mac Jones on his best day is as good as Trevor Lawrence. And that's saying something, because I don't like anything about Trevor Lawrence, but he's better than Mac Jones will ever be. So that ain't gonna happen. So you're gonna get used to seeing Trevor Lawrence at least the next 5 years. The last place team.
The last place?
Sad to say. Jay, he used to have his Vince Young jersey. Then he went to his Mariota jersey. It still works because Will Levis is an 8, so we'll just call that a Will Levis. His old Oilers hat up there. The old days with Warren Moon.
I was funny.
Hayward Jeffries, all the boys back from the 90s.
We're probably gonna have some haters out there. How come you got the Oilers out there? They're supposed to be Houston. I'm like, sorry, bub. I'll put whatever the hell I want to put on.
Whatever
here.
The hell we want. Sorry. But you want to put up there, make your own show, and then you can do that.
But here's my thoughts for you to even though you're a little Tennessee Titans hater, but
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
It's my thoughts on this was it came to be kind of hard, because I'm like, God, what do I honestly really think about the Titans? I mean, I would love for them to win a division, but I mean, I just still think that they're still lacking a bunch of pieces.
No, this is a 5-win team. They're 5-12. I don't know what else is. I mean, I'm probably not giving any Titan fans any hope, but yeah, you're going to finish in last place. You're going to be 5-12. I know they hired the Bengals OC as the coach. They got rid of who was it? Well, Mike Vrabel was the coach they canned, and so I don't know. Maybe he does something that they were doing over there with Burrow with Will Levis. We'll see, but I don't. Yeah, this is kind of Calvin. I mean, enough said. Calvin Ridley should never be anybody's. I mean, maybe in 2019 with the Falcons, you could have been like, "Oh, Calvin Ridley." He's not. No, Calvin Ridley should never be anybody's number one fantasy option. Not as bad as the Giants. I mean, not as bad as the Giants having Devin Singletary, but I mean, it's not a strong sign when you have 88-year-old DeAndre Hopkins as your number 2 fantasy guy, and Calvin Ridley as your number 1. I mean, both those guys are like mid round guys, late round guys for drafts. I mean, Ridley is the off the board at 35. Average DeAndre Hopkins is 37. So I don't know. What do you think about having these two guys up at the top, the receivers?
I have to
like
agree
Will
with
Levis. I know you like you some Will Levis, but
Yeah, I mean it's very typical. I mean, Ridley was out in 85% of snaps with the Jaguars last year. D-Hop 71. So I mean, it's pretty hard that I think they're going to try to get these two guys out there in the field as much as they can. Try to prove something. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would hate for them to be at the bottom. I don't know. I think they're 50-50. I think they win more than 5 games, in my personal aspect. And I know a lot of people are just like, well, we don't know what Will Levis is. I mean, this is the year we'll find out if Will Levis can actually, lead a team. If that's not the case, and then we had that other kid from Liberty that was supposed to be the guy. That kind of that
yeah.
got shot down pretty quick. So I mean. He was supposed to be. I mean, he's about as big as Will Levis, but he was supposed to be able to throw the football, but that didn't happen because we had freaking
Malik Willis.
we had we had Tannehill in the way, so it's just kind of one of those things. It's just
they need a quarterback.
They were more. Yeah, Tennessee likes their quarterbacks not to run, stand in the pocket, throw the damn ball, and that's why they had freaking Derrick Henry to run the ball. They I mean, if you think about it, they had Trey Benson, Traylon Burks, who was supposed to be their guy. Yeah, first round. They didn't do absolutely nothing in the first 2 years. Nothing. Which really sucks. So now he's looking on the out. So Ridley.
They're gonna play him in the slot. I think they were saying they're gonna play Burks in the slot. You can't play Burks anywhere. He's a bust. Just get rid of him.
From the sounds of it, they'll probably try to sprinkle him in a little bit, but he really, I mean, 200 some odd yards, 0 touchdowns last year, but on 30 targets, dude, he played 16 receptions. The sad thing is he could not stay healthy. Couldn't stay healthy. I mean, there was nothing that he could have done, if he would have maybe tried to stay a little bit healthier. I mean, think about it. 1 touchdown in freaking almost 3 seasons. First rounder. That's a no-brainer. Here's my thoughts. Trade his ass right now, ship him out, get him out, take your loss, and find somebody else.
Yeah, with all this receiver talent coming in the league, and you have a lot of veteran guys. I mean, you could have got Sterling Shepard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could have went after a guy like that instead of this scrub. I mean, yeah, Burks is a scrub. Like you can put him anywhere on the field that you want, but he has no fantasy value to me. I don't care what he's projected at. I'm staying the hell away from the guy. Ridley and DeAndre, they have similar stat line. I mean, just look at last year. They both had a little over 1,000 yards, about the same number of targets, about 136 to 137.
Yeah.
They're not going to get that many playing together, but I mean, you can see the target percentage is dead on. Each of their yards is going to come down a little bit. They were, like I said, they were both like a shade over 1,000 yards, so they should both come down a little bit. But it's a solid 1-2. I mean, but I don't like the age. I think the age is what, because I'm just thinking one of these years, DeAndre Hopkins. I guess I've thought the same thing about Keenan Allen and Mike Evans. They keep going, so maybe I don't know. Maybe DeAndre has another year left in him. Of pretty good production. I thought he was done after Arizona got rid of him, but.
Yes, I think let's see here. DeAndre is actually D-Hop is 32 years old. So I mean he's a year older than freaking Keenan Allen. And he's still kind of cooking it. So I mean, if you think as long as you keep yourself in shape. I mean, Ridley's 29. So I mean they got they pretty much got 2 guys in their 30s. So kind of, I mean, really didn't play for like a year and some, but I mean, came back, played a little bit. So with having these 2 guys, maybe they only win 5 games. My God.
Now, there's a couple things. There's a couple things over the past month he's kind of talked me into. The more he was talking, like the Jets, the more we were talking, I'm like, this might be a playoff team. Maybe Aaron Rodgers can resurrect. And the more we talk about the Titans, I'm having the same effect on you. The more you're realizing this is not a good team. I'm sorry, you're dependent on 2 old receivers. One that has had issues in the past, and the other one is I just think he's due for a decline. Like DeAndre Hopkins just can't. I mean, he's not the Texan Cardinal DeAndre Hopkins anymore. He can't be, He just can't be.
Well, we'll call this segment the 30 of threes.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're basically dependent on Tyler Boyd, who's been pretty much a sidekick his entire career. Like he's not, he's okay.
Well, if you think about it, he actually had 2 years with 1,000 yards. With
but these weren't these weren't like the Bengals teams that we were. I mean, the high end Burrow.
Yeah,
this was like pre-Jamar Chase that he had those years.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. This was way before they had Chase and all them before they came into the league.
So he's okay, but he's even a little older too. It's like so the chart here, you have one guy pushing 30, kind of has a checkered past. The other guy's over 30. He's kind of due for a decline, you'd think. Tyler Boyd is just, I don't even think he's capable of reaching 1,000 yards again. So whatever level he was at, 5-6 years ago, I don't think he could ever reach that again. And then Treylon Burks is a bust. It's like where's the hope? And this is the most, this is the receiver position, man. It's like where's the hope at?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I was with maybe these guys being a little bit older,
really receiver. Jay, they don't. They didn't take anybody in like the first, second, third round. I mean, they have no hope in the receiver room. So it's like even if you're not even.
They drafted a kid from
enough for like, hey, here's your starters, but it's like an NBA team that can go like has like a 6 or 7 man rotation. It's like you're not deep enough to win a championship. Like you're not, like team is just it's not going to be deep enough. Especially if one of these old guys, Ridley loses his shit again, or D-Hop goes down, they're fucked.
Yeah, I guess. So I guess they're borderline 5-6 wins probably.
Westbrook Akeen,
I probably would trust him a little bit more than Burks.
They're talking like I actually like Kyle Phillips, but he's been just bumped down the depth chart. I think they're going to cut him or trade him. Or I actually didn't mind Kyle Phillips. I thought, last couple of years, I thought he could have been good for Levis. He could have been like a Scotty Miller type guy.
Yeah.
Low end, like number 5, 4 or 5 receiver, and just so he might be on the way out. Nick West, or Westbrook Akeen. Like, you kidding me? He's a joke.
He actually, I think he's a little bit younger. I think he's like,
but he's a scrub.
I'd rather see him on the field than freaking Treylon Burks.
It's sad to say, I agree with you. Treylon Burks is worse than Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman is better than Treylon Burks, and we talk a bunch of smack about Rashad Bateman. Treylon Burks is not good. He should have stayed. He should have asked for more eligibility at Arkansas. He should have stayed a few extra years.
Probably should have.
He should have got that NIL money.
Yeah, probably where he made his bank. Because he's only. Burks is only like 24 too. He's super young too. But he hasn't done anything with his opportunities.
No good.
Right.
Tight end room, Okonkwo. He's like the 21st tight end, I think. Like he's okay. Like, he's better than Jelani Woods. But it's not. What would you call him? Like, is he like a backup tight end? Is he your, in like a typical 12-man league? Is he your backup tight end?
I think Okonkwo is kind of more your like buy guy that like you say you got one of the top end.
Yep.
Like say you got a Schultz or an Evans that are up there. Chig is actually he's your pretty much bye week filler. That's who he is.
Yeah, and I'd be okay with that. He's like I said, he's good enough to be an NFL starter. He's better than anything the Colts have. So he's not
coming off.
Not Schultz. He's not Schultz, but he's not Jelani Woods. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's right. He's between Schultz and Jelani Woods.
Yeah, Okonkwo is coming off in the 14th round. So you got like Komet, Maramuth, Musgrave, Hill, Sanat, Auden coming off the board before he comes off the board. So that's almost like
I love me some Ben Sanat.
Yeah,
or Ben Sanat.
Yeah. If you think about it here, come on, move over. We got Hunter Henry. Henry, Hunter Henry. He's even later. I mean, hell, he might even be better than Okonkwo. But with the pass attack, yeah. So I mean, if you think about it, I mean, he went off the board before Isaiah Likely did, and Isaiah Likely right after Okonkwo. And then you got your Sanders from Carolina. I mean, he's kind of he's kind of like your third tier guy. Kind of he's kind of like your bye week guy that maybe he has a good matchup that week and you toss him in there, and maybe Will is actually struggling a little bit and he's got to have a check down guy and Chig will be that guy.
Do you want to get into Will Levis or do you want to get into the running backs?
Yeah, well, since we're right here, let's just talk about Will Levis quick. I mean,
these projections are insane. I know you're a Levis guy. He's not going to hit 3,800 yards. He's not going to get 24 touchdowns. The rushing projections rushing projections might be doable.
Well, Will Levis is going to have
couple hundred, maybe 200 yards, 2 touchdowns or something. That box he can probably check. But it's like when we saw the JJ McCarthy numbers. It's like, dude, homeboy isn't even going to start enough games to reach what he's projected to do. Levis, no, this is. I think he might be a little bit better than Desmond Ridder. From the Falcons last year. Remember that disaster?
Yeah, I told everybody that Ridder.
I don't see it in this guy. I don't see it in this guy. I don't.
I remember. I remember this. You're like, oh, I love me some Ridder. I'm like, dude, no, Ridder's a joke. He can't even make. He's not even good. Like we would say, he's an XFL guy.
He was. I remember him at Cincinnati, and I remember him taking that program to places they hadn't probably been in fucking 50 years. Or I mean, like Cincinnati was relevant with Sauce Gardner and Desmond Ridder. So I mean, he seduced me with his college career. I think I always thought Ridder would. Okay, he's gonna figure this. He's gonna be like Dak. I always thought like, hey, Dak was a mid-round guy. Was kind of took Mississippi State to number 1. And I'm like, Desmond Ridder did the same thing with Cincinnati, and he just didn't. But Will Levis, I don't know. I didn't like some of the stuff I saw at Kentucky, and now I don't know. I don't know. He's mid. He's mid to me. He's mid. And that's okay. Fantasy. I mean, if he ends up being like a serviceable second quarterback in a two quarterback league, or he ends up being a serviceable backup to, kind of your bye week guy, like we were talking about with Okonkwo, just kill a bye week or something, I'd be okay with that. I don't want this guy as my QB1.
Let's see here. I think I'm going to check my best ball. I think it's this one. Not that one. I was actually going to try to figure out in 2 QB leagues here. Yeah, this is I think this is, yep. I'm trying to figure out where he came off the board at. So Levis came off the board in a 2 QB league in the 6th round. That was after. So pretty much 5th round Stafford, and you got Mayfield, Watson, then Rodgers, and then you got pretty much Levis, McCarthy. McCarthy 7th round swing pass there. So I mean, like the 100, like the
where he's
30th,
supposed to be,
30th, 40th. He's like the 30th or 40th player off the board or whatever.
I don't see it. Like he had that good game against the Falcons. He looked like oh shit, and then every other game was just a lot of him getting sacked, a lot of bad decisions. I know he's a rookie, but
yeah, and I think that a lot of it had to do with the line too, and I think they addressed that a little bit. So I mean, they beefed up their offensive line a little bit. But yeah, overall, he had 200. Like his highest was 300. That was against Miami. He had a pass against them, but I mean, 327 yards passing, 1 touchdown. I mean, he didn't really have a lot of interceptions. Kind of starting four, which is not that bad. Yeah, I mean, 4 interceptions isn't bad. Yet we'll have to kind of see. I'm curious to see how he actually plays this year. If it's going to actually work out. If all this, I mean, it's almost like it's set up to be great, but a failure at the same time.
Yeah, because he's a 2nd round pick, they're not going to have any kind of leash with this guy. And basically, it's just like Desmond Ridder. It's like basically you go out and win this year, or I don't know, Sam Howell from the Commanders last year. Like Sam Howell, they pretty much told him like, hey, you need to, you're a 5th round guy. You make decent, you put up decent fantasy stats, but you got to go win games. He didn't win games, and now he's going to be a backup with the Seahawks. Will Levis basically needs to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. I mean, that's
pretty much
because he's dependent on 2 older, one guy. Like I said, I'm blue in the face on Calvin Ridley. I don't trust the guy. And then we'll get to the running backs here in a second, which it might be a ray of hope with Tyjae Spears, but the tight end is average at best, probably a little below average. Like I said, the 2 receivers they're okay, but
he's working with a bunch of old guys. They don't have any young talent up in here, and that's gonna be I mentioned, it's gonna be
one young talent. They got one young talent, and you're looking
which is out the door. Well, hopefully, maybe Spears can be something, but other than that, they have a bunch of old guys for their offense. They don't, they should have drafted a younger. They probably could have gotten a younger guy in the draft, but they didn't. But I think they addressed a lot of their offensive players to keep Will Levis upright. So I think that's going to be the main thing here is to get Levis help as much as possible.
Yeah, Tony Pollard, he's if he's got another running back in the committee, he's solid. We saw what he did with those years with Zeke. So I'm okay if he's in a committee. I don't want Tony Pollard as like in an ETN or Jonathan Taylor role where it's like solely on him. You know what I mean? Where it's like, hey, dude, we need you to go out and get 1,200 yards. We need you to go catch 40 balls. We need you to do, it's like he's not that guy. He's not that good. But if it's him and Tyjae Spears and like a two-man weave, 2-man committee, I think they might be okay in the running game for sure. 850 for Pollard, that might be might be pushing it, but that might be doable. Tyjae Spears, I think is going to surprise the people. I think his numbers could go up.
Yeah, I think that's
what he did. Jay, we saw what he did as a rookie. He caught 52 balls last year. And then you throw in. Between receiving and rushing, he had over 800 yards, in all scrimmage, all-purpose yards last year as a rookie. So, we know he's an all-around guy. It's just he needs more opportunities. I think if he gets more touches, more targets, I don't know I don't know what this guy's ceiling is. Tulane is just cranking him out. Michael Pratt. Jackson, the receiver that we talked about from the Titans, 6th round guy. I think you had him up on the screen earlier. He's a Tulane guy. We know what Tyjae Spears did there a couple years ago. This has turned into a good program. They're cranking out.
They have another guy. Hughes. They got another rookie or freshman. He was going to be a sophomore this year. Hopefully, he turns around. But the Tulane's actually putting out some good talent here, which is not a bad thing at all. But I was trying to think about that too. I'm like, Tony, is it going to be a Pollard or? Honestly, I think two-headed monster. I think this would be
two-headed.
Yeah, because we saw what Pollard. Him trying to carry the load. It's going to where he's not built to carry the load. And I think
and he's a weak receiver. He's more of the guy did have 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns last year. So it's like we know Pollard can get yards on the ground. It's just and Tyjae catches passes. So it's like I think but you take away a few of the carries from Tony and you give it to Tyjae, I think they'll be okay. I think that's actually a decent running back room. And Dylan Johnson, we saw what he did with Washington. Had a bunch of big numbers. I have him on my rookie chart. I'll show quick before we leave, before we get off. But
by
16 touchdowns at Washington last year on the ground. So he was cranking out touchdowns in that Washington offense.
Yeah, it's not a bad. I kind of want to see him kind of sprinkled in here too a little bit to kind of see what he can do with maybe the minimal carries. Maybe if he gives, maybe he gives them a little bit different of spark, and then maybe next year, maybe one of these guys is, I know they signed Tony Pollard for 3 years, but Dylan Johnson could be a workhorse in progress with him. But so pretty much, with Henry having 53% of the rush share, he's gone. He's out the Ravens. it was pretty crazy to think that Tyjae Spears had 52% of that too as well. He had and I think they might possibly use Spears in the red zone a little bit because he actually had 10 total carries in the red zone. He actually had, a couple receiving in the red zone as well. But if you think about it, Pollard had 48 carries in the red zone, and then with Pollard, he had 12 receiving in the red zone too as well. So it's kind of a mixed match a little bit. So maybe Spears could be the goal line back too, where Pollard maybe eases back a little bit too.
Yeah. No, Pollard could. I don't know. He's not that old either. I mean, sorry. There's a dog looking through the window. I think
he's gonna have you as a snack.
Yeah. Yep. He's back. He's angry again. He's up there.
So Pollard's 27. So I mean,
he's still got a couple years left, especially in a committee. Yeah, he's got a couple years.
I think that's the best. I think that's the best for him. I think 800 there, or 600 whatever with Spears there. I think that might be a little bit. They might flip flop a little bit, or Spears might have a little bit more too. So I just think it's just I think just a good 50-50 between these two guys. As far as draft wise, or just prospect, or just drafting wise, I mean, Pollard probably the guy. Spears you can actually get way later in the draft because he's not coming off the board until I think it was 12th round or 14th round. He was coming off the board. Like super late, if I remember correctly. I was trying to find. I had him when we were talking about him. So I think he's even coming off the board pretty late too. Yep, 12th round. So Pollard 9th round, Spears 12th round.
Yep. And I don't think Haskins is any bit involved. Chestnut, any of these other random people, they'll be lucky to get a roster spot. So it's pretty much a two running back room. So I think they both have similar value, probably close to equal value. And then Dylan Johnson, if you kind of want an insurance policy.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I think that kind of sums up the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah. I don't. I'm checked out. These Titans are just icky. Will Levis, I don't see it. Like I said, Tyjae Spears is about the only guy I like out of these five. So
yeah, I mean, I want to see some Spears too as well. I mean, I kind of want to see what he does. I'm kind of curious on him too as well, and I want to see a little Spears myself.
So I'll throw that up there quick because we're over 2 hours. We'll get we'll get rolling here in a second, but just put that up there. I'll see if you have any thoughts on my 5. See if you want to throw Josh Cepheus in there maybe, or but I put Adonai Mitchell at 1 from the Colts, Brian Thomas Jr. at 2 from the Jags, Stover, the rookie tight end from Ohio State, number 3 with the Texans, our boy Jawhar Jordan at number 4 with the Texans, and then Dylan Johnson. Yeah. And then Dylan Johnson.
Yeah, I like the first two. I think Mitchell and Brian Thomas are fine. I think they might mix. It could be a mixed match between this. I mean, especially just within the division. Who knows? Maybe Thomas has the better year out of Mitchell just because he's got Pittman and Josh Downs, where Thomas, he's pretty much could be the wide receiver too right away, right out of the bat. So I mean, it might, so it could be flip flop. Maybe Thomas 1, Mitchell 2, Stover. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard seeing in there a little bit. I'll probably put Jordan up there at probably 4 or 3. And maybe Stover 4. I like to maybe toss in a little Cephas in there a little bit if he does make the team. As I think, I think we could probably put him at 5 if he does make the team. Put him up there at the end. I think Cephas is a little bit better talent than Johnson, just a running back in general. So those are my thoughts on that.
Yep. Yeah, you could throw a couple other guys. Anthony, or is it Anthony Gold? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, Anthony Gold. Yep.
Yeah, Anthony Gold, Keelan Robinson.
Yep.
the Jackson kid from the Titans, and then Joshua Cepheus. So those will kind of be. I think those 9 guys, especially like the last spot. I mean, I think those guys each have an argument to take Dylan Johnson's spot. But I think the first 4. I think that looks good, and then the 5th spot could go to any one of those other guys. So those are that's our rookie 5, and this was a we took the AFC South as far as we could take it. We got a lot of mileage out of the Texans, a little more mileage out of the Jags and Colts, and then we just hit the skids. We started talking about the Titans, and the more I talked about Jay, you could see his depression just kick in. He's got sadder and sadder and sadder than that Marcus Mariota jersey he's wearing.
I gotta represent my Titans, man. I mean, I love the Cowboys and I love the Titans. I mean, those are both been my favorite teams, and any chance I had, I'm like, I was gonna wear some Cowboy stuff, and I'm like, screw it. I wore the hat, but I'm like, screw it. I gotta put the jersey on. I gotta throw on I mean, I love this old school hat. It's just, it just can't beat it. You can't beat that stuff. I mean, Eddie George, Steve McNair, God, Dyson, the guy who, Super Bowl, they could have won a Super Bowl just a yard shy of what it's like. So just the era, just magic.
Yep. Yeah, no, I love Eddie. Shit, I grew up on that Eddie George and Steve McNair, all those guys. Who was that? Javon Curse. Remember Javon Curse?
The Freak.
Stud.
The Freak. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, just
not so much these days. They're just getting old guys that are past their prime, and Will Levis. So.
Yeah, well, they need a freak. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But everybody,
need Will Levis to be a freak.
It's
like 30 touchdown freak.
It's been a long haul. We hit that AFC South, which I mean, I wish I would have put the Titans at 1, but no, that will not be happening today. So it's the Texans, Jaguars, Houston, and I think Colts and Jags could be swapped around in there a little bit. They're both kind of almost mediocre, but yes, maybe the Titans will probably at the bottom. Unfortunately, yes. So I think it's next Thursday we will be hitting the NFC South side. Those damn Bucks, Saints. Do we actually have to talk about the Carolina Panthers?
That's another ick.
Yeah. He doesn't like that, any of those. And I think there's another team in there. I'm not sure. I think Saints, Panthers, Bucks.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. I forgot. I actually forgot the Falcons. Oh my god.
We'll get into that Penix mess. Penix might even be in my top 5. I don't know yet. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're doing there. I said if you watched our stream on draft night, you saw me and Jamie's thoughts, and I think Mike too was joining us when they picked Penix. Yep. But we'll make the best out of it there with the NFC South. That's coming up next. Probably do Thursday again. I've kind of been bouncing back and forth with work and stuff, so we're. It should just be one more week of Thursday, so we'll go.
Yeah. So next Thursday, the NFC South. We'll hit that up. Make sure you just join our Discord. That's in the links in the bio below. At least follow us on Apple and Spotify. All your latest podcasts.
Latest and greatest, baby.
Yes. Other than that, I think we are done up out of here. Everybody have yourselves a great weekend. And we will see you guys actually like next Thursday when we hit up that AFC South or NFC South. And maybe we'll catch you later, X. Everybody else, appreciate everybody in the comments for jumping in, commenting. Hopefully maybe down the road we'll have some more comments from there. We're still growing. We're still getting our feet underneath us. Everybody's still kind of getting new to us and whatnot. So until then, everybody, we'll see you guys next time. I am Jamie. That is Eli. We'll see you guys next time. Later.